Part 34. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 335. You are so brave. The 6 people from Baishan Island and Qinjian Island finally reacted after being surprised at the beginning. They knew that the 4-color formation that appeared in front of them was set up by people from Greenwater Baytown. Boom boom boom. They were extremely decisive. After making their judgment, they immediately took action and blasted towards the 4-color formation. But they had just been seriously injured, and Formation Kinzan had now broken through to the 4th level. The formation he had set up was so powerful that they could not break through it in a short time. Seeing this, several people immediately shouted. The lords of our 2 islands are all 5th level cultivators. Do you think that a small town like you and a half-step 5th level cultivator can stop our lords? I'm afraid you still don't know how strong 5th level cultivators are. If you dare to attack us now, when our lord comes back, it will be the end of you. Then we have to wait until your lord can come back. Wang Dynasty, Ho San, eldest grandson Geng Zhang, and eldest grandson Yi all walked into the formation under the guidance of Zhen Qinzan. The aura of these people was blooming. Although their overall cultivation was not as good as that of the 6 people opposite them, they were all full of aura, and they were no less powerful than the 6 people who were seriously injured. All 6 of them were terrified. They all heard from Cao Cao's words that this time, the Lord of Greenwater Baytown had a huge conspiracy to take away Shen Baishan and Fang Qinjian. Several people spoke anxiously, our 2 islands. Not only our lord is a 5th level cultivator, but there are also more powerful forces behind our 2 islands. Do you really want to be enemies of our 2 islands? If you do this, you will only lead to destruction. If I were you. Hoo ho ho. But before they could finish their words, they felt their bodies sink, and immediately saw countless white hairs sprouting out of their bodies. In the blink of an eye, the white hair grew several meters long. At the same time, their true energy was quickly consumed as their white hair grew. What's this? Several people were panicking, and all kinds of forces were shaking, but they had no effect on the white hair growing out of their bodies. The effect of this enhanced version of the mutated Babyudan, which was fused by Chen Ronghuo using his left and right powers, is surprisingly powerful. Let's capture him without mercy. Changsun Gengzhang, who was wearing an alchemy robe, flicked his fingers and shook off the remaining bergamot powder between his fingers. A pill is shattered and the enemy is defeated with a snap of the finger. Changsun Gengzhang's heart was trembling, and he felt that he had really found his life goal. Although this elixir was not entirely made by him. However, he believed that with the large amount of alchemy information provided to him by Chen Ronghuo, he would definitely be able to refine an enhanced version of the mutated white hair pill that was comparable to or even better than the one processed by Chen Ronghuo. The aura of the white hair pill after it was broken filled the air, permeating Wang Chao and the others. However, because they had all dripped blood on the white hair pill not long ago, it did not invade their bodies. After it spread to 3 feet above Changsun Gengzin felt something abnormal. He swept lightly with the broom in his hand, and a whirlwind blew by. In the blink of an eye, all the remaining white butan scent in the entire square was gathered together and forced into a particle. I don't know when it fell into the dust in the square. Changsun Gengzin used a broom to sweep all 6 people on Baishan Island and Qinjian Island into serious injuries. Zhen Qiansan set up a formation and stopped the 6 people. Changsun Gengzhang's pill plunged the 6 of them into complete despair. All this happens in an instant. At the same time, due to the blocking of 2 entire formations, not a single bit of movement from this battle was spread. So Shen Baishan and Fang Qinjian, who went underground with Chen Ronghuo and walked step by step along the underground passage to Dehi Crab, didn't know anything about it. Dark underground. Chen Ronghuo led the group of people forward quietly, pretending not to make the slightest sound. But he had already informed Dahi Crab that he was ready through the special connection between himself and Dahi Crab. Senior Shen, Senior Fang, we are still a few hundred meters away. Should I go in first, or? Not far from the cave where the big river crab was, Chen Ronghuo suddenly slowed down and sent a message to the two of them. You go first, don't worry, we will definitely be able to ensure your safety. Shen Beishan gave the answer in one breath. Okay. Chen Ronghuo pretended to grit his teeth, then speeded up and walked inside. At this time, Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian had already released their soul power and cautiously moved forward. However, when their soul power probed, they could only find a huge mountain-like hole in front of them. But in the void, there was nothing. They frowned, not knowing where the giant demon Chen Ronghuo was talking about was hiding. Hua hua hua. A grain of white hair pill was crushed by Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo's hand brushed the wall of the cave beside him. The powder of white hair pill fell from his fingers and was mixed with the earth and rocks he scraped off, making it inconspicuous. His speed increases, increases, increases. At the same time, he used the earth escape technique early in the morning to escape into the earth and rocks, and merged with the surrounding earth and rocks. The huge thing that stayed above the few people also moved slightly as Chen Ronghuo accelerated. Suddenly, Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian felt something was wrong. Chen Ronghuo's speed is too fast. It was so fast that it completely exceeded his level of cultivation. Stop. Fang Qingjian sent a sharp voice to Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo did not answer, nor did he stop, but he sped up again. At this time, he had mobilized the power of faith to bless himself. With his late fourth order cultivation, through the blessing of the power of faith, although his cultivation could not reach the fifth order in a short time, he could reach the half-step fifth order. However, Chen Ronghuo, who practiced many laws and various magical skills, had a half-step fifth order cultivation, and with the assistance of the Pearl of Disaster, his strength was definitely not weaker than that of an ordinary fifth order cultivator. You are looking for death. Fang Qingjian's face was ashen. At this time, he could not see that there was something wrong with Chen Ronghuo. He made a quick decision and his consciousness shook directly. He wanted to communicate with the explosive bracelet worn by Chen Ronghuo through resonance, so that it would explode and kill Chen Ronghuo on the spot. But as his consciousness moved slightly and he wanted to activate the special mark he left in the explosive bracelet, he found that the explosive bracelet did not react at all. Whoosh! At this time, Chen Ronghuo had already rushed into the huge mountain-shaped space he had touched out before. He originally wanted to end the battle here, but then he suddenly thought that instead of fighting them here, he might as well leave them halfway. Are you wondering why this thing doesn't work? After rushing into the huge space, Chen Ronghuo turned his head and looked through the cave passage that was more than 1 meter high and more than 2 meters wide, and fell on Fang Qingjian. He showed the explosive flame bracelet on his left hand, and a smile appeared on his face. Under his left hand's continuous touching, the remaining explosive flame power on this thing is now only a tiny bit. Even if it really exploded, it would not cause any harm to him. At the same time, just when he was running fast, he even touched out the special mark left by Fang Qingjian inside it. If Fang Qingjian can still detonate this explosive flame bracelet after touching this thing, it would be strange. Fang Qingjian's face sank into the water, knowing that he and his men had fallen into a huge conspiracy this time. He knew that Chen Ronghuo might have been deceiving him and his men from the beginning. But he didn't know what Chen Ronghuo's means of dealing with them were. Chen Ronghuo, at this time, Shen Beishan suddenly shouted, "Our men are still on the ground, and now they must have controlled everyone in your Green Water Bay town. If you dare to mess around, all your relatives and all your men will die because of you." Your men? Chen Ronghuo laughed, "Then you wait and see whether your men are stronger or my men are stronger." Shen Beishan's pupils shrank. In a short period of time, several people talked continuously. But time only passed in a moment. Hoo. What is it? Suddenly, because Chen Ronghuo accelerated, Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian chased them, and their 4 men who were overtaken by them screamed in fear. What's going on? They turned around and saw that countless white hairs had grown out of their men's bodies. The white hairs grew very fast and were dragged on the ground in the blink of an eye, making their 4 men look like white-haired monsters. In an instant, fear grew in the hearts of the 2 men, and they didn't know what this method was. Boom! Just as they were afraid and wanted to find the source of all this, they suddenly felt a black above them and saw a large piece of soil and rocks falling from their heads. It was as if the cave passage was collapsing rapidly. What? However, this was not the most terrifying thing for them. What frightened them the most was that through the soil and rocks above, they actually saw an extremely huge monster. 1,000 meters, 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters. Underground, their soul power was blocked and could not be compared with that on the ground. But it could also cover a distance of 3,000 meters. But at this moment, they found that their soul power, which was enough to cover a distance of 3,000 meters, could not cover the huge body of the monster. What kind of monster is this? Both of them swallowed their saliva secretly. Pray in your heart, pray that this behemoth will not attack you. I curse you, the wounds that have recovered in the past will have cracks. I curse you, the energy between heaven and earth will hinder you from operating your own power. I curse you, none of you can escape my trap. Suddenly, a faint voice came from the front, and it was clearly heard by the 2 people, making them upset. The one who made this voice was Chen Ronghuo. Curse technique. Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan were both shocked. With their strength, they were not afraid of ordinary curse techniques, but they could clearly feel that the curse issued by Chen Ronghuo contained a curse power that was by no means comparable to that simple stuff. This was obviously an extremely powerful curse technique, and the rich curse power overwhelmed them. They all felt that all the curses from Chen Ronghuo began to come true on them one by one. We were all fooled by him. Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan both looked crazy. Before this, they only had each other in their eyes. The only way is to kill or seriously injure the opponent, and then monopolize the huge resources of Green Water Baytown. But they didn't expect that Lushwiven Town and Chen Ronghuo, who were originally big fat sheep in their eyes, suddenly turned around, showed their ferocious fangs, laid such a trap for them, and bit them hard. This bite is extremely dangerous. Boom! Just when they fell into madness, the countless earth and rocks above their heads finally collapsed completely. At the same time, one black and one white, 2 huge pincers of an unknown species were thrust out from the earth and rocks, and with terrifying power, they went straight towards the 2 of them and pinched them. Go back! Shen Beishan roared. Rough and loose black hair appeared on his body, and after his body expanded slightly, his palms turned into claws, and he blocked the big black pliers that were coming towards him. As a 5th-level cultivator, he can break a mountain into pieces with just one palm strike. If he was prepared, even a large island like Black and White Kirishima could be chopped into pieces by him in a short time. This was also the reason why Chen Ronghuo didn't fight with him and Fang Qingjian in Green Water Baytown. The destructive power of 5th-level practitioners is too great. The current layout of Lushwiven Town is not perfect, especially the lack of protective formations that can withstand 5th-level practitioners and above. If they fight in Lushwiven Town, I am afraid that the entire Lushwiven Town will be destroyed. Boom! Infinite black light surged out from Shen Beishan's hand and turned into a huge black claw, which collided with the big black claws of the river crab. There was a loud noise, and all the black light was instantly destroyed by the majestic power of the big river crab. Shen Beishan's face turned gray. His strength is not as good as the big river crab. Now that the curse of Chen Ronghuo is in his body, it is even more unbearable. At this time, the big black pliers of the big river crab, after being blocked for a moment, smashed Shenbaishan's huge black claws, and then continued to pinch Shenbaishan. At the same time, on the other side, Fang Qingjian also immediately sent out a flame flower blooming in 5 colors. But this flame flower was also beaten to pieces by the big river crab with its other big white pincer, like beating an egg. The cultivation level is also at the early stage of the 5th level, but when compared with the big river crab, the gap between the two of them is too big. Today, Dahi crab, who has broken through to the 5th level, can already defeat all methods with one force. Especially its 2 large pliers, after being integrated into the double spears of the god of strength, they have become equivalent to artifacts. Moreover, it is at the same level as the Pearl of Disaster, a powerful half-step god-level artifact. Even Chen Ronghuo underestimated the strength of Dahi crab. In front of the big river crab, Shenbaishan and Fang Qingjian were like 2 little ants. Even without the assistance of Chen Ronghuo's curse technique, they could not be the opponent of Dahi crab if they joined forces, let alone the battlefield was underground, which was Dahi crab's home field. No. Shenbaishan and Fang Qingjian roared in fear at the same time. The resistance was ineffective, and they immediately deployed layers of defense in front of themselves. But these layers of defense were like bubbles, which were instantly burst by the big river crab's 2 large pincers without any hindrance. Then the big river crab moved forward again, and its 2 pincers, like catching chickens, picked up Shenbaishan and Fang Qingjian at the same time. Am I very powerful? The big river crab held the 2 people between its 2 pliers. While asking them questions, it controlled the 2 big pliers and touched them in the middle. Bang! Shenbaishan and Fang Qingjian were both horrified, and in the midst of their horrified gazes, the 2 of them were directly under the control of big river crab, and had an extremely intimate contact, mouth to mouth. But this fragrant scene, because of the huge impact, made the 2 of them tremble, their noses crooked, their eyes squinted, and they were dizzy. At the same time, their big mouths became swollen and red. Am I strong? Am I tall? Seeing that the 2 didn't answer, the big river crab opened its pincers and slammed the 2 of them together. Strong. Burly. Infinite power. The strong desire to survive made the 2 of them shout at the same time. Of course, while shouting, they did not forget to struggle. But their struggle was like a 3-year-old child being grabbed by the neck and kicked by a strong man again and again. It looked funny and pitiful. Bang! The next moment, the 2 had another intimate contact. Since you are strong, since you are tall and since you are powerful, why don't you surrender and bow at the feet of me and my master? Big River Crab spoke in a muffled voice, his voice like rolling thunder. Are you stupid? Or are you saying that you haven't had enough of me? It turned its eyes substantially, showing great excitement. This feeling of using power to ravage other people is really wonderful. Its thirst for power originated from the time when Hosan and Zhu Deipen effortlessly lifted him out of the green water swamp. It comes from Chen Ronghuo and Shamao dragging themselves into the house and out again and again. These experiences gave him an unparalleled desire for power. We surrender. Shenbaishan and Fang Qingjian, who felt as if they were falling apart. Although they felt extremely aggrieved, they only hesitated for a moment and hurriedly spoke in agreement with Dahi Crab's words. At this time, they already knew the cultivation level of the big river crab. I know that the big river crab is at the same level as them. But the psychological shadow brought by the big river crab is as huge and boundless as the abyss. They all knew that with their own strength, it would be impossible to escape from the 2 terrifying claws of this behemoth, so they both started to admit defeat at the first time. Except for a small number of practitioners in this world, most of them are cowardly. When facing a life stronger than themselves, they will kneel down and beg for mercy without hesitation. In their view, only by living can there be hope. As for face and the like, what's the use? In that case, then you can chant my real name. I am the great king of the green swamp, the power god Big River Crab. The Big River Crab paused and gave himself a name that he thought was extremely domineering. Thanks to the book friend Kong's Haimo for the 10,000 coins reward, he became another helmsman of this book at landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 336. Boy, you're looking for trouble. No, please stop playing with me. Ah, boy, what are you doing again? Ah, I'm flying. Boy, don't think I'm afraid of you. Don't burn me. I surrender. I'm really surrendered. I'm covered with stones, not tasty. In the mind of the Big River Crab, the scenes of Chen Ronghuo playing with him again and again emerged. As the great king of the green swamp, the powerful river crab, although there is no slave to turn over and become the master, I finally have my own toys. The Big River Crab set his eyes on Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian, with hope and excitement in his eyes. Shame, Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian's faces were extremely dark when they heard the Big River Crab let them call its real name. They are all 5th level strongmen, especially on their own islands, they are even more superior. For hundreds and thousands of years, no one dared to talk to them like this. However, they felt the amazing power of the Big River Crab's claws on their bodies, and the two had to smile. Just like Chen Ronghuo did when facing them not long ago. They looked at the Big River Crab and said, "Great, King of the Green Swamp, the power god Big River Crab, please allow me, Shen Baishan, Fang Qingjian, to offer you our loyalty." He 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 he. The Big River Crab immediately laughed strangely and happily. At this time, although the cave had collapsed, under the control of the Big River Crab, Shen Baishan, Fang Qingjian, and their 4 men covered with white hair were all covered in a layer of hazy yellow light and were not buried alive underground. After hearing the two people's hopelessly flattering words, the 4 men of Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian were stunned. None of them thought that the 2 lords who were usually high and mighty in their eyes actually had such a side. Before, when they saw Chen Ronghuo's flattery in front of them, they still despised him in their hearts. But now, they looked at Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian, and they seemed to understand something in their hearts. Only those who endure hardships can become superior people. In addition, perhaps only those who are shameless, and flexible can become high and mighty lords. The reason why these people became others' subordinates may be because they are too upright. In this world, people who are too upright are not popular. One of the 4 people secretly pulled out the white hair on his body, but did not pull it off. "Senior Shen, Senior Fang, I wonder if you can tell me, who ordered you to come here this time?" At this time, Chen Ronghuo walked over slowly amid the strange laughter of the Big River Crab. He still called Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian seniors. But Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian looked at Chen Ronghuo, who walked step by step, with a calm face and was not surprised by honor or disgrace, and they all smiled bitterly. This guy is really good at acting. Lord Chen. This time, facing Chen Ronghuo, neither of them dared to be arrogant. Fang Qingjian said, "We came here this time on the orders of the Snake Temple. The Snake Temple enshrines a snake blood goddess. Hundreds of years ago, the snake blood goddess left with other gods, and the Snake Temple also followed in retreat. But the retreat of the Snake Temple is just a cover. In fact, many lords on the Jiatuo Snake Islands have secret dealings with them. Our Qingjian Island and Baishan Island are one of the 2 forces that are attached to the Snake Temple. At the same time, the Snake Temple is definitely the most terrifying force on the Jiatuo Snake Islands. I don't know how strong they are, but I know that there are definitely 8th level strongmen in the Snake Temple." 8th level strongmen? Chen Ronghuo narrowed his eyes. 8th level, this is the same level as the Holy Tiger of the Holy Tiger sect. Such a strong man can take his life with just one encounter. However, he had previously integrated a large amount of earth and stone attributes into the Big River Crab, making its talent stronger again. The stronger the big river crab's talent for earth and stone, the faster it can refine the black and white fog island. The original big river crab needed 3 days to refine the black and white fog island into its own shell. But now, it only takes a few hours for the big river crab to successfully refine the black and white fog island. Thinking of this, Chen Ronghuo once again set his eyes on Fang Qingjian and Shen Beixian. A trace of murderous intent burst out from his eyes. Fang Qingjian and Shen Beixian are both 5th-level strongmen, and it would be a pity to kill them. But with his current strength, he still has no confidence in controlling a 5th-level cultivator. Fang Qingjian and Shen Beixian froze when they saw Chen Ronghuo's eyes. The murderous intent revealed in Chen Ronghuo's eyes towards them was naked, without a trace of cover. They felt as if Chen Ronghuo had wiped their necks with alcohol, and then was holding a ghost head knife, trying to cut them off again and again. They had never thought that when they heard that there was an 8th-level cultivator in the Snake God Temple, Chen Ronghuo would actually have murderous intentions towards them. The changes in the Black and White Mist Island were definitely caused by this person. At this moment, Shen Beixian and Fang Qingjian were both sure that the changes in the Black and White Mist Island were caused by Chen Ronghuo. Otherwise, Chen Ronghuo would have no need to provoke the Snake God Temple. But, provoking the Snake God Temple, is Chen Ronghuo crazy? The Black and White Mist Island is right here. If he can run away from the monk, can he run away from the temple? However, although they had many thoughts in their minds, both of them knew that the most important thing for them now was to save their lives. Lord Chen, we came here this time because we had no choice. You must show mercy. The loose black and gray rough hair on Shen Beixian's body had faded. He was bald, but his face with strong lines was full of pleading smiles, which was extremely funny. Yes, Lord Chen, I am not only a 5th-level cultivator, but also a 5th-level refiner. I will definitely be of great use to your territory. 5th-level refiner? Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo's heart moved. Do you still have this thing in your hand? Chen Ronghuo suddenly raised his arm, interrupted Fang Qingjian's words, and showed him the explosive flame bracelet on his left hand, which seemed to be fused with his wrist and turned into a circular flame mark. Yes, it's in my storage ring. I made this thing with a large piece of explosive flame jade that I got at the beginning. That piece of explosive flame jade is very large. Because it can only be used to refine a one-time attack secret treasure, I used it to refine 6 explosive flame bracelets. The explosive flame bracelet is his biggest trump card. Not only can it be used to control people, but it can also be thrown out directly to exert a blow comparable to that of a 5th-level mid-stage cultivator. It's just that the big river crab just made a move too fast. In the blink of an eye, the big river crab's claws were in front of him. So he didn't dare to throw away the remaining explosive flame bracelets in his hand. Once thrown out, he himself would be blown to death by the explosive flame bracelet. But facing Chen Ronghuo's question, Fang Qingjian didn't dare to hide it. He had a hunch that once he said he didn't have it, Chen Ronghuo would immediately order this terrifying monster that was still holding him with its terrifying big claws to directly crush him to death. But the most important thing is that he made the explosive flame bracelet, and he was most familiar with it. At this time, he had already guessed that Chen Ronghuo was probably planning to use him to refine the explosive flame bracelet to control himself, but once Chen Ronghuo did this, he would definitely be courting his own death. A flash of expectation flashed in the depths of Fang Qingjian's pupils. Take out all the marks you left in the other 5 explosive flame bracelets, then remove the restrictions on your storage rings and throw them all to me. Chen Ronghuo didn't know what Fang Qingjian was thinking. He set his eyes on Fang Qingjian's storage ring and spoke. But after he finished speaking, he turned his eyes to Shen Beixian and said, "And you too." Snap! Snap! Upon hearing this, the two of them handed over their storage rings without any hesitation. At the same time, Fang Qingjian also took out the marks he left in the 5 explosive flame bracelets one by one according to Chen Ronghuo's instructions and threw them to Chen Ronghuo. The big river crab's big claws were still clamped on the 2 people, and none of them dared to play tricks at this time. Chen Ronghuo took over the storage rings of the 2 people after identifying that there was no problem. The storage rings of Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan both had huge internal spaces, but this was not very attractive to Chen Ronghuo. His goal was clear, which was the 5 remaining explosive flame bracelets in Fang Qingjian's hand. After getting this thing, Chen Ronghuo immediately took it in his hand and used the ability of his left hand to touch 3 of them in succession. It was still difficult for Chen Ronghuo to touch the properties of the 5th level secret treasure. So in the eyes of Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan, after Chen Ronghuo took over their storage rings, he put them away, and then took a few explosive flame bracelets and played with them in his hands. Chen Ronghuo said nothing. But the pressure on Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan became even greater. They didn't know what Chen Ronghuo was thinking. Pop! 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 Suddenly, both of them were shocked to find that the 3 explosive flame bracelets that Chen Ronghuo was playing with in his hands suddenly turned into fragmented bubbles at the same time and disappeared from their sight. What kind of trick is this? Both of them were stunned. 3 5th level secret treasures, just gone like that? No. Not 3. At the same time, the 2 also found that the explosive flame bracelet that Chen Ronghuo wore on his left hand had also disappeared. Buzz. Buzz. But then, they saw that the only 2 explosive flame bracelets left in Chen Ronghuo's hand, when Chen Ronghuo brushed them by some unknown method, suddenly shone brightly, as if some strange transformation had occurred. Enhanced explosive flame bracelet, 5th level top grade secret treasure. Explosive flame power at 500. After incorporating multiple attributes, it undergoes a mutation, allowing up to 5 people to leave marks in it. Anyone who activates the mark can make the enhanced explosive flame bracelet self-destruct. The power of the self-destruction is limited to 1 meter and will not spread. The power of the self-destruction is comparable to a blow from a 5th level peak practitioner. At the same time, after wearing it, it can also be activated by true Qi to activate the explosive flame shield to resist attacks. In addition, once the bracelet is worn, if you try to take it off or cut off your wrist, it will explode instantly. A smile appeared on Chen Ronghuo's face. This time, the effect of the secret treasure he fused with his left hand's supernatural power was somewhat beyond his expectations. With a thought, he integrated his unique mark into the 2 enhanced explosive flame spirit bracelets. After integrating the mark, since he was the first owner of the explosive flame bracelet, if others wanted to integrate their own marks into the 2 explosive flame bracelets, they had to get his consent. Senior Fang, you are a master of refining. What do you think of these 2 explosive flame bracelets? Thinking of this, Chen Rong waved his hand and smiled as he threw the 2 enhanced explosive flame bracelets that had just been fused to Fang Qingjian. Fang Qingjian took the new explosive flame bracelet with a stiff face, injected a trace of soul power, and began to check it. However, as he checked it, cold sweat gradually appeared on his face. Lord Chen is amazing. He just changed his hands and upgraded the grade of the explosive flame bracelet I refined from low grade to high grade. Fang admires it. After a moment, Fang Qingjian said with a forced smile on his face. This is nothing special, it's just a little thing I made casually. Chen Ronghuo shook his head and said lightly, you keep one of these 2 explosive flame bracelets for yourself. Give the other to Senior Shen, and then wear them all. Of course, I think as a master of refining, you should also understand what it means for you to wear this thing. Fang Qingjian's face stiffened again. Feng Shui turns around, and bad luck can't be stopped. Chen Ronghuo's words are almost exactly the same as what he said to Chen Ronghuo before. He took a deep breath, suppressed the shame in his heart, and with a ruthless heart, he directly put the explosive flame bracelet on his wrist. If you keep the green mountains, you won't be afraid of running out of wood. But if you lose your life, you will lose everything. After wearing the explosive flame bracelet, Fang Qingjian did not forget to throw the other bracelet to Shen Beishan according to Chen Ronghuo's instructions. At the same time, he thought that crying alone is worse than crying with others, and explained to Shen Beishan, this secret treasure has been modified by Lord Chen. Once it is worn, it cannot be taken off. No matter what method is used to try to take it off, even if the wrist is cut off, this secret treasure will explode. This is a 5th level top grade secret treasure. The power of self-explosion is roughly equivalent to the full strength attack of a 5th level peak cultivator. At the same time, this new explosive flame bracelet seems to be able to also allow many people to leave their own marks in it. Shen Beishan on the other side stared at Fang Qingjian with a dark face. A 5th level peak cultivator burst out a blow at close range. Even if he also has a 5th level cultivation, he is almost certain to die. But after he took the explosive flame bracelet, he did not dare to hesitate at all and put it on his hand directly. Many people left their marks in here. At this time, the big river crab, which was still holding the two people with its pliers, suddenly said to Chen Ronghuo, "Master, can I also leave my mark in this thing?" "Yes, you try it too." Chen Ronghuo smiled. He still had things to do in the Holy Tiger sect, and it was impossible for him to stay in Greenwater Bay Town forever. In this case, it would also be beneficial to let the big river crab leave his mark in the two explosive flame bracelets. He even planned to let Xiaoruo Wang Chao and others leave their marks in them later. This would also make it easier to control Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan. The big river crab's eyes shone brightly, and two beams of light immediately shot out from his two eyeballs, landing on the explosive flame bracelets in the hands of Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan. Originally, he wanted to treat the two as his toys. Now, let alone. The faces of Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan were extremely ugly. They all knew that it would be difficult for the two to escape from Chen Ronghuo and this huge monster. Before coming here, they were full of vigor and vitality, but now, at this moment, they could only pray in their hearts, praying that the people of the Snake God Temple would find the abnormality as soon as possible, come here, and kill Chen Ronghuo and others with thunder and lightning, and rescue them. "Okay, little crab, stop playing." Chen Ronghuo saw that the big river crab was getting playful, and hurriedly reminded him, "You should speed up the refining of the Black and White Fog Island immediately, otherwise when the people of the Snake God Temple come, I may be able to take some people to escape. But you will definitely be caught and cooked." The big river crab was startled, and then showed a trace of embarrassment. He waved his claws, put Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan down, and said, "Master, don't worry, I will succeed in refining the Black and White Fog Island as soon as possible." Even though the power has become extremely powerful, it still has a huge psychological shadow on the words cooked. Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan were puzzled when they heard the conversation between Chen Ronghuo and the big river crab. "I don't know what Chen Ronghuo is planning. I don't know why Chen Ronghuo didn't run away quickly after knowing about the Snake Temple. Okay, we should go back." Seeing the big river crab retreat, Chen Ronghuo walked out along a passage that the big river crab had created with its claws when it retreated, and said, "You two take the four of them with you. In addition, Fang Qingjian, can you refine sails?" "Sails?" Fang Qingjian was startled, not knowing why Chen Ronghuo suddenly mentioned this, but he still said, "I haven't refined this thing, but with my ability, low-level sails are no problem, but for sails above level 5, you need to know a special refining method to refine them." "I have the refining method. When you go back, you will help me refine a sail immediately." Chen Ronghuo subdued the two people, but he didn't intend to keep them. It will take some time for the Devil Mermaid King in the Devil Mermaid Lake to wake up, which is a bit too late for him. At the same time, for him now, a 5th level subordinate, although useful, is not as important as before. Especially when the Snake Temple may arrive soon. So he decided to chop off the Devil Mermaid King, take off her skirt, and refine it into a sail that can greatly increase the speed of sailing in the water, and insert it on the Black and White Mist Island. Next, the Black and White Mist Island will be led by the big river crab and wander in the sea. In fact, it is no different from a larger ship. You feel it, such a big commotion must be that the lords of our two islands have already taken action. Your Lord Chen Ronghuo can't be the opponent of our two island lords. So I advise you to let us go as soon as possible. In the Greenwater Bay town, the 6 people from Qinjian Island and Baishan Island who were captured by Wang Chao and others kept talking and trying to persuade Wang Chao and others to abandon the dark and join the light. But Wang Chao and others all disdain this. They have seen Chang Sun Zhengxin's fighting power. They are sure that if Chen Ronghuo is really in danger, Chen Ronghuo would have called Chang Sun Zhengxin long ago. So they are all confident in Chen Ronghuo's action this time. Shut up. Zhang Ji kicked the 6 people in the buttocks, and said with a fiery look, if you dare to talk nonsense in front of me again, I will make a hole in your buttocks. Our Lord, you bastards are not qualified to discuss it. Thanks to the book friend Wu Xianchenga for rewarding 12,000 coins and becoming another helmsman of this book at. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 337. After being scolded by Zhangji, the 6 people from Baishan Island and Qinjian Island immediately obeyed and did not dare to say anything. At this time, they were still covered with large patches of white hair. All the Genkai in his body had already been absorbed by countless white hairs. But in their hearts, they were still dissatisfied. The island owners of their 2 islands are both 5th level powerhouses. The 5th level and the 4th level are 2 completely different concepts. In any case, they did not believe, nor were they willing to believe, that Chen Ronghuo, a 4th level cultivator, could use conspiracy to take down all the island owners of their 2 islands. At this moment, they all sensed that the huge movement in the distance had stopped. They clenched their fists and began to wait nervously. But just like them, Xiao Qiao and others also raised their hearts at this time. They are right to have confidence in Chen Ronghuo. But this world is never short of surprises. 2 seniors, please. Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo's voice sounded from the depths of the Lord's mansion. Senior. How could it be? Hearing Chen Ronghuo's voice, Xiao Qiao and others all looked stern. Chen Ronghuo actually still called the 2 5th level experts seniors, which gave them all a bad feeling. Did their lord's plan fail? Really? However, the 6 white-haired monsters in the field all showed excitement after hearing Chen Ronghuo's words. They knew that a 5th level powerhouse could be dealt with through conspiracy alone. But at this moment, they suddenly heard Shen Baishan and Fang Qinjian say, "Don't dare, we will work under the Lord from now on, as long as the Lord calls us by our names." Chen Ronghuo seemed to be refusing. How embarrassing is this? You 2 are so much better than me. Shen Baishan and Fang Qinjian both threw their integrity to the ground and said with a smile, it should be. Although we have high cultivation levels, in terms of strength, how can we compare with the Lord? While talking, several people had already walked out of the Lord's mansion and walked into the square. When Shen Baishan and Fang Qinjian saw that the 3 men they had left here were all white-haired and looked exactly like the 4 men they had captured, they looked at each other and saw the bitterness in the other. It's just that they themselves are not Chen Ronghuo's opponents. But they didn't expect that, as Chen Ronghuo said, their men were no match for Chen Ronghuo's men. When the 6 humanoid white-haired monsters on the square saw their lord holding a white-haired monster that was exactly like them, they were all smiling, following Chen Ronghuo from left to right, like, after acting like a follower, I immediately felt a roar in my mind. It was as if their worldview since birth was shattered by the scene in front of them at this moment. It was like everything they knew was reversed at this time. Everyone, these two are Shen Baishan, the lord of Baishan Island, and Fang Qingjian, the lord of Qingjian Island. Seeing the crowd, Chen Ronghuo said, they were enemies of our Green Water Bay town before, but they were actually misled. Now that they have abandoned the dark side and turned to the bright side, they will be considered members of our Green Water Bay town from now on. The corners of Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian's mouths twitched, but neither spoke to refute. Now, at least until the people from the Snake Temple reacted and rescued them, they did not dare to refute Chen Ronghuo's words. Others looked at each other in shock. This is a gadget I made. It can self-destruct with just a thought. The power of self-destruction can be compared to a blow from a 5th-level peak practitioner. At the same time, the range of self-destruction will be limited to 1 meter. Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo pointed at the explosive flame spirit bracelets worn by Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian, and said to everyone, these things can leave 5 marks on each one. Its self-destruction can be controlled through marks. Xiaoruo, Chao Chao, Ho San, come here and leave a mark on the explosive flame bracelet on Shen Baishan's hand. Chang Sun Gengjiang, Chang Sun Yi, Zhangji, you left your imprint on Fang Qingjian's explosive flame spirit bracelet. Go to hell and abandon the darkness for the light. Both Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian's faces were extremely dark. They were extremely embarrassed when they saw their subordinates and the incredible expressions on their faces when they were courting Chen Ronghuo, but this embarrassment was far less effective than the impact of Chen Ronghuo's words. At this time, they had clearly seen that the few men they had left on the ground opened their mouths wide after hearing Chen Ronghuo's words. But compared to this, what made them feel most desperate was that each of them had 5 marks left in their explosive bracelets. In this way, even if the people from Snake God Island come over, if they are not able to kill all the 4 people and 1 crab who have imprinted on the explosive flame bracelets in their hands immediately, as long as one of the remaining people has a thought, they will be buried with him. At the same time, their 6 subordinates all looked at each other in shock after hearing Chen Ronghuo's words. What do you mean? Our lord was captured by Chen Ronghuo, a 4th-level cultivator. How is this possible? Our lord is a 5th-level powerhouse. 2 5th-level experts are not a match for Chen Ronghuo. One thought after another emerged from the hearts of several people. But on such occasions, they didn't dare to ask. Just when Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian were feeling extremely unbelievable, Xiao Ruoyao and others had all stepped forward according to Chen Ronghuo's instructions and left their own marks on the explosive flame bracelets in their hands. This is a 5th-level powerhouse. From now on, there will be 5th-level strong men at their disposal in their territory. Xiaoruo, Chao Chao, and others were very excited. Okay, when everything was over, Chen Ronghuo suddenly said, you said you came here under the orders of the Snake Temple, so what is the connection between you and the Snake Temple? You'd better tell the truth, otherwise once the people from the Snake Temple come over, I will immediately control the mark in the explosive flame spirit bracelet to cause it to self-destruct. Facing the Snake Temple with an 8th-level powerhouse stationed there, he had to be even more careful. Otherwise, if you are careless, you may die here immediately. Fang Qingjian and Shen Baishan both looked extremely ugly. Being controlled by Chen Ronghuo in this way, they really felt that they had no way to go to heaven and no way to go to earth. In other words, until a solution is found, they and Chen Ronghuo are just grasshoppers on a rope. The current situation is that as long as they cannot block a blow from a 5th-level peak practitioner at close range, they can only follow Chen Ronghuo's arrangements. Lord Fang Qingjian took a deep breath and said, we contacted the Snake Temple through the Golden Temple. We made a promise before we came here. No matter whether the problem can be solved or not, we must report the situation of Black and White Kiri's Hima as soon as possible. Report it over there. Report immediately. Chen Ronghuo nodded. This was not beyond his expectation. The Snake Temple was able to notify Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian of the matter as soon as a problem arose in Black and White Kirishima, which obviously paid great attention to the situation in Black and White Kirishima. After thinking for a while, he said decisively, "In this case, you should go to the Golden Temple now and deliver the message to the Snake Temple." It is said that the reason why Black and White Kirishima broke away from the two-panel snake formation was that a mid-level 5th order mutated Earth Dragon Earthworm appeared underground in Black and White Kirishima. You two are afraid that you are no match for each other, so you have to go back to your respective islands to get materials to set up the formation. It is estimated that it will take a day to introduce the Earth Dragon Earthworm into the formation and hunt it down. In fact, one day is still too short. But Chen Ronghuo did not dare to let Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian delay the report for too long. If it takes too long, the Snake Temple may become suspicious. One day, just hearing Chen Ronghuo's words, Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian were confused. I don't know what Chen Ronghuo can do in one day. But for them now, it is useless to think about anything else, as long as they listen to Chen Ronghuo. On the 17th, the two of them are going to deliver a message to Snake God Island. Soon, Chen Ronghuo led the two of them to the Golden Temple. He looked at the gold coin elf number 17 and said, "Okay, don't worry, Lord Chen." The little gold coin number 17 had a smile on his face. Chen Ronghuo has always been its big customer, and because of Chen Ronghuo, it is now the leader of all the gold coin elves on Black and White Mist Island. After a short time, it helped Chen Ronghuo to spread the news that Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian wanted to spread to the Snake Temple. Following the news from the Snake Temple, it immediately came through the Golden Temple. There are two words on it, yes. Staring at the two words coming from the Snake Temple, Chen Ronghuo squinted his eyes and pinched his fingers. After calculating with ancient books, he felt that there was no problem, and finally a smile appeared on his face. With 1 day of time buffer, he can already do a lot of things. "Let's go, you drive the flying spirit boat and go to a place with me." After leaving the Golden Temple, Chen Ronghuo rushed forward and immediately ordered the two of them to raise the flying spirit boat and carry him to a place in the sea. "How about it? You two are so close to me now. Do you want to capture me and then force each other to die with me?" After the flying spirit boat left Black and White Kirishima, Chen Ronghuo stood at the corner of the spirit boat, looking at the horizon, with his back to the two of them, and said calmly. At this time, he was only a few meters away from the two of them. At the speed of a 5th level cultivator, you can reach it in the blink of an eye from a few meters away. And this time, except for the two of them, he didn't bring any of his subordinates with him. The expressions of the two of them were stagnant. "The Lord is joking. We are both 5th level practitioners, but we were defeated by you, the Lord. Now we are really convinced." Originally, they all had this idea, but now, after Chen Ronghuo said this, they didn't dare. Because they were afraid that Chen Ronghuo might have some trump cards. "It doesn't matter to me whether you accept it or not." Chen Ronghuo turned his head and glanced at the two of them lightly, "As long as you don't do stupid things, even though I'm not in the territory now and can't use the power of faith to bless myself, it's still easy for me to capture you." He didn't panic. It has been so long since he broke through to the 4th level cultivator. In addition to using ancient books to calculate the address of the Xuanhuan station and using some energy accumulated in ancient books, the remaining energy is lying motionless in the ancient books. With the ancient book, he could seal the two of them for an instant as soon as they took action. With this moment of effort, he controlled the explosive flame spirit bracelet to explode, killing both of them immediately. But if he did so, then all his actions during this period would be in vain. That was why he pointed out to the two of them, so as not to ruin his plan. Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian stood a few meters away from Chen Ronghuo, looking at the black and red robe on Chen Ronghuo, fluttering in the wind, and they all felt a sense of admiration in their hearts. Although they both lost to Chen Ronghuo, they both hated Chen Ronghuo. But Chen Ronghuo, a mere 4th level late stage cultivator, was able to show such a calm attitude in front of the two of them, as if everything was under control, which still made the two of them feel like the waves behind the river pushed the waves ahead. The speed of the 5th level strongman driving the 5th level flying secret treasure was extremely fast, and soon Chen Ronghuo arrived at his destination, the Devil's Sea. "Come out." Chen Ronghuo asked the two to put away the flying spirit boat, landed on the sea, stomped his feet, and shouted at the sea. At the bottom of the sea, the devil mermaid, who was sleeping in the water, was immediately startled when he heard Chen Ronghuo's call. "This demon is here again." It looked ugly, but it didn't dare to neglect it. It quickly pulled up its little black skirt and swam up quickly. It had felt the horror of Chen Ronghuo's curse technique and knew that even across the sea, Chen Ronghuo could still play it to the point of ecstasy. So it didn't dare to resist Chen Ronghuo's words. It was so loud. It didn't take long for the huge devil mermaid to float up from the bottom of the sea, holding its black skirt and swaying its not-so-beautiful figure. This terrifying creature has now become Chen Ronghuo's royal teleporter. "Start the teleport." Chen Ronghuo looked at the devil mermaid, who had just cultivated to the late 3rd stage, and a strange smile appeared on his face. The devil mermaid felt cold all over because of Chen Ronghuo's smile, and it felt like its skirt was taken off by Chen Ronghuo. It grabbed the skirt with its hand. Chen Ronghuo had cursed its skirt last time. But it felt the increasingly terrifying aura emanating from Chen Ronghuo, and didn't dare to think too much. It immediately pinched out a mysterious mark in its hand and started the teleportation. Boom! The sea shook violently, forming a huge vortex. In the vortex, the terrifying suction force acted on Chen Ronghuo and the other two. "Is this a teleportation formation?" Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian looked at each other and set their eyes on the devil mermaid. They didn't expect that such a 3rd-level devil mermaid could actually control such a formation. At the same time, they once again witnessed the mystery of Chen Ronghuo. And the devil mermaid was also stiff when the two looked at it. I don't know where the demon Chen Ronghuo got two such powerful subordinates. Seeing that the vortex formed by the teleportation formation was getting bigger and bigger, it didn't dare to think too much. It dropped the skirt in its hand and was about to dive underwater. Although it was reluctant to leave this devil water area that it had created with great difficulty, and the life-saving formation here, at this time, it was still thinking whether it should leave here. Boom! Just at this moment, when the suction force transmitted by Chen Ronghuo in the vortex reached its maximum, he suddenly moved his body, like a black and red lightning, and in the blink of an eye, he was behind it and grabbed its neck. Woo, woo. Feeling the huge force, it seemed that its neck would be strangled in the next breath. Fear emerged in the devil mermaid's heart and struggled hysterically. But its power was too much worse than Chen Ronghuo's. With a bang, the transmission was completely activated. Chen Ronghuo grabbed the devil mermaid's neck and took it through the transmission formation and teleported it to the devil mermaid king's palace at the other end. Bang! After reaching the end of the ground, Chen Ronghuo threw the devil mermaid away. You! The devil mermaid stood up, with horror in his eyes, and retreated repeatedly. Suddenly, it caught a glimpse of the devil mermaid king's palace not far away. And the huge body of the devil mermaid king sealed in a crystal column made of the marrow of the ocean in the palace. This is... It was stunned on the spot. It was able to open the small teleportation array in the Devil Sea because it had obtained a legacy, but in that legacy, there was nothing else but the method to open the small teleportation array. Using that small teleportation array, it didn't know how many of its enemies it had pitted. But it never knew that there would be such a palace on the other side of the teleportation array. In the palace, there would be a predecessor of the Devil Mermaid clan whose cultivation was far beyond its own. An accident. At this time, Chen Ronghuo looked at the Devil Mermaid and suddenly said, the teleportation array you used was left for you by this elder of your clan. It sealed itself in the marrow of the ocean and wanted to be resurrected. And it only needs a few months to be resurrected. But after it is resurrected, it must sacrifice the blood and soul of a fellow tribe member on the same day to be truly resurrected. If I am not guessing, you are probably hatched from a devil mermaid egg that it threw in a stronghold it set up in the sea. I don't know where it got it from. Pa pa pa. Hearing Chen Ronghuo's words, the devil mermaid showed fear on his face and took several steps back. It looked at the palace of the devil mermaid king in the distance, with a deep sense of surprise on its face. Thinking of its own experience, it couldn't help but think seriously about Chen Ronghuo's words. In particular, it really had no father or mother, and it was indeed hatched from an egg, and the place where it was hatched was indeed a place that was obviously specially arranged. Submit to me. Seeing the expression of the devil mermaid, Chen Ronghuo said straight to the point, submit to me, and I will teach you a secret technique that will allow you to reversely obtain most of the power of this devil mermaid king. This is the purpose of him catching this devil mermaid here. In a few hours, the black and white mist island will be refined by the big river crab, and it will be led by the big river crab to wander. By then, the Devil Sea is too far away from the black and white mist island, and the small teleportation array there will also lose its effect. At the same time, it also plans to stomp the Devil Mermaid King and take off her skirt to refine it into a sail. In this way, the Devil Mermaid King will definitely not be resurrected if it is disturbed. Losing an opportunity to control a 5th level demon really makes Chen Ronghuo feel a little distressed. So he came up with this idea, to control this 3rd level Devil Mermaid first, and then let it steal the power of the Devil Mermaid King. The Devil Mermaid in the distance was in hesitation. Do you think you have any choice? Chen Ronghuo's voice suddenly turned cold. Then he didn't waste any more time, and with a wave of his hand, he casually waved a demon mark that was bred in his soul to the forehead of the Devil Mermaid and rushed into its soul sea. This Devil Mermaid is only at the late 3rd level now, and this level is useless to Chen Ronghuo. But once it learns the secret method he deduced from the ancient book and steals most of the power of the Devil Mermaid King for its own use, its cultivation will definitely increase greatly in a short time. Seeing Chen Ronghuo put the demon mark into its soul sea, the Devil Mermaid trembled, and the black pleated long skirt floating under it rippled in circles, as if it wanted to resist. But in the end, it still couldn't resist Chen Ronghuo's carrot and stick. Thanks to the book friend Twilight Melody for the 10,000 coin reward and becoming the helmsman of this book. Thanks to the book friend 201709250023246221 for the 100 coin reward at landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chao Ji Dupang. Chapter 338. Boom boom boom. Under the guidance of Chen Ronghuo, Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian bombarded the mermaid song formation in front of them. The mermaid song formation can fascinate people and make people who want to enter the palace of the Devil Mermaid King walk out unknowingly. However, although this mermaid song formation is a 5th level formation, there is no one to preside over it. In addition, Chen Ronghuo has discovered its flaws through the ancient book. Under the bombardment of Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian, 2 5th level practitioners, it didn't take long for it to break open with a bang. Go up. Chen Ronghuo said to the Devil Mermaid who followed him. With the current strength, it is easy to sign a 3rd level demon into your own demon pet. After he reached the 4th level of cultivation, the condensed demon mark was injected into the soul sea of the Devil Mermaid. It didn't take long for him to completely subdue it and make it his pet. In terms of appearance, the Devil Mermaid, with a fish head and a human body, 3 eyes, scales all over its body and hands and feet like duck feet, is definitely the ugliest of all his pets. But for Chen Ronghuo, being ugly doesn't matter, as long as it is obedient. As for talent, after it uses the secret method he just taught it and uses the power of the Devil Mermaid King for its own use, its talent will also increase. Then he will help this guy, and he will have a good development in the future. Hearing Chen Ronghuo's words, the Devil Mermaid immediately stepped forward and walked in front of the Devil Mermaid King, who was sealed in the marrow of the ocean. It waved its hand and took out all the materials that Chen Ronghuo had just given it. Soul stone, blood soul wood, solid paste. All kinds of materials are used to assist it in performing secret techniques. However, the secret technique that Chen Ronghuo passed on to the Devil Mermaid is not so much a secret technique as it is a vicious secret method. Secret technique and secret method, the difference of one word also means that the two are not the same. Most of the secret arts require practitioners to practice hard to achieve success. However, most secret methods are spells that use various special materials to achieve a certain purpose. This kind of spell does not require special practice, you only need to know the method and have the basic cultivation to perform this secret method. And what Chen Ronghuo passed on to the Devil Mermaid was such a secret method called Mermaid Will Soul Blood Possession. Go. The Devil Mermaid arranged all the materials according to the formation given to it by Chen Ronghuo, and then squeezed out a drop of blood from its body, pinched the formula to make it evolve into a special talisman, and printed it on the forehead of the Devil Mermaid King, who was sealed in the ocean marrow in front of him. Buzz. When the talisman it made touched the ocean marrow, it was immediately blocked outside by the ocean marrow. Whoosh. At this time, as the talisman came into contact with the ocean marrow, it stimulated a special breath, and a ball of light blue flame immediately burned in the formation arranged by the Devil Mermaid with a pile of materials. The flames rose slowly, and soon enveloped the ocean marrow. Under the scorching of this strange flame, the ocean marrow turned into a drop of crystal marrow liquid in a short time, and merged into the mysterious mark made by the Devil Mermaid. Boom! At this moment, because the ocean marrow disappeared, the Devil Mermaid King, who was completely exposed to the air, suddenly opened his three eyes at the same time. You are so rebellious. After opening his eyes, he saw the Devil Mermaid and the actions of the Devil Mermaid, and immediately showed an extremely angry look. However, the Devil Mermaid followed Chen Ronghuo's instructions. As soon as the Devil Mermaid King opened his eyes, he drove the mysterious mark that had just absorbed the ocean marrow and hung in front of the Devil Mermaid King, and imprinted it on the Devil Mermaid King's forehead. Ka. The Devil Mermaid King struggled hard. But under the cover of the mysterious mark, all its struggles turned into useless efforts. After a short while, it completely turned into a motionless statue. It could no longer make any sound. It's done. In the distance, Chen Ronghuo saw the scene and nodded slightly, saying, "Go and take off its skirt. This is the best material for making sails." Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian immediately walked up after receiving the order. Now, the two of them have really been convinced by Chen Ronghuo. After seeing the various mysterious methods that Chen Ronghuo showed, they all decided that before escaping from Chen Ronghuo's hands, they would do whatever Chen Ronghuo asked them to do. Not to mention that Chen Ronghuo asked them to take off the skirt of the Devil Mermaid King, even if he asked them to take off their pants, they decided to do it. Everything is based on saving lives. At this time, Chen Ronghuo had already looked at the Devil Mermaid, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. He knew that his new pet would need a long time to absorb most of the remaining power of the Devil Mermaid into his body. He said, "After you have absorbed all the power from the Devil Mermaid King, remember not to destroy its body. Using its body, I can also improve some of your talents." What he meant was, of course, using the power of his left hand to extract attributes from the remaining body of the Devil Mermaid King, and then integrate them into the body of his new pet. The blood soul possession secret method of Mermaid Will he taught could transfer most of the power and talents of the Devil Mermaid King to the Devil Mermaid, but there would definitely be some omissions. For Chen Ronghuo, any omission is a waste. The corpse of a 5th-level Devil Mermaid King is extremely precious. Any waste is not allowed for him. At the same time, the blood soul seizing secret method of mermaid wheel is not only limited to mermaids of the same race, but also has great side effects. But for Chen Ronghuo, this side effect can also be solved by his left-hand ability. Swish. Just as Chen Ronghuo was thinking about one thing after another in his mind, Shen Beishan and Fang Qingjian had already quickly stripped the Devil Mermaid King's skirt, that is, the ghost clothes, from his body according to Chen Ronghuo's instructions. How about it? How long can you refine this thing into the sail I need? Chen Ronghuo looked at the folded ghost clothes held in Fang Qingjian's hand and asked. My lord, Fang Qingjian replied, this garment of wronged souls is actually a natural sail. I only need to follow the refining method you just gave me and slightly process it to make it into a sail. In terms of time, 2 or 3 hours will be enough. Chen Ronghuo nodded after hearing this. Before this, Chen Ronghuo had given Fang Qingjian the blueprint of refining sails with the garment of wronged souls. Fang Qingjian was able to refine the garment of wronged souls into a sail in 2 or 3 hours, which shows that his refining skills are not bad. Wow! Immediately, Chen Ronghuo walked out of the mermaid illusion array without stopping, taking the 2 people with him. As for the devil mermaid, he left it here for the time being. The mother sea monster horse and the 5 little sea monster horses are no longer here. Instead, he sent people to take them to Greenwater Bay Town. So after leaving the mermaid illusion array, Chen Ronghuo did not delay and asked the 2 to drive the flying sky spirit boat again and fly directly to the base camp of the 2 islands, Beishan Island and Qingjian Island. Both of them are lords, and both are Earl-level lords. Whether it is the power of faith they have accumulated over the years or the divine attributes contained in the statues of the 2 lords, they are all a great gain for him. More than 1,000 miles, just a dozen minutes, have been crossed. The first stop of the 3 people is Fang Qingjian's Qingjian Island. Go, get me all the materials on this piece of paper in the warehouse as soon as possible. After arriving here, Fang Qingjian immediately threw a piece of paper and threw it to his men. When he reported to the Snake God Temple before, he said that he would go back to Qingjian Island to get the materials for setting up the array. At this time, he did this just for show. Of course, this was also arranged by Chen Ronghuo. So the piece of paper that Fang Qingjian threw out actually had a lot of precious materials written on it. After the trusted subordinate left, Fang Qingjian said with a gloomy face that all the subordinates who went with him to the Black and White Mist Island this time died in the belly of a mutant earthworm on the Black and White Mist Island. Then he asked his other subordinates to take the important family members of those people to the Lord's mansion one by one. Fang Qingjian and Shen Beishan took 10 subordinates to Greenwater Bay Town, all of whom were 4th-level practitioners. 10 4th-level practitioners are definitely not a small force. So Chen Ronghuo decided to take all the important relatives of those people to Greenwater Bay Town this time, and then let those people completely submit to him. Soon, the family members of those people came to Fang Qingjian's lord's mansion crying. But as soon as they arrived here, they were controlled by Fang Qingjian. After these things were dealt with, Fang Qingjian waved his hand and drove all the people in the lord's mansion out at the order of Chen Ronghuo. At the same time, he also raised the formation and asked many subordinates to put their hands outside the lord's mansion, saying that he had important things to do. Then, more than 10 minutes later, Chen Ronghuo touched the divine attribute of Fang Qingjian's lord statue, leaving only a little divine attribute, and downgraded him from the Earl level to the Baron level. He asked Fang Qingjian to explain to the subordinates guarding outside, and then let him drive the flying spirit boat to Beishan Island again. Then, Chen Ronghuo did the same thing on Beishan Island. There was no accident during the period. It was just that after they left, one person from each island quietly walked into the Golden Temple and delivered a message to the Snake Temple. The content of the message was roughly the same. It said that the 2 people went straight to the Black and White Mist Island after taking a lot of materials on their respective islands. Whoosh! Everything was done, and Chen Ronghuo soon returned to Green Water Bay Town with the two people. There were only 3 of them when they went, but when they came back, they brought more than 100 people. So many people, even 2 flying spirit boats could not accommodate them. So along the way, Fang Qingjian and Shen Baishan had to drag them all with their true energy to bring them to Green Water Bay Town. Fortunately, after returning to Green Water Bay Town, Chen Ronghuo did not need to worry about how to deal with these people. At this time, Fang Qingjian and Shen Baishan had already seen that Chen Ronghuo might really have a way to deal with the Snake God Temple. But what exactly was Chen Ronghuo's method, they could not figure it out. In comparison, Shen Baishan was better. But Fang Qingjian, as soon as he returned to Green Water Bay Town, had no time to think about things. Under Chen Ronghuo's arrangement, he immediately went to deal with the black skirt that was stripped from the Devil Mermaid King. Rumble. A few hours later, the black and white mist island suddenly rumbled. The originally huge island suddenly shrank rapidly. In a short period of time, everything on the periphery collapsed and condensed inward. Many of the countless demons on the island fell into the sea in fear. From the sky, it was as if there was an invisible big mouth swallowing the black and white fog island from all directions. At the same time, rolling black and white fog appeared from the edge of the black and white fog island, and became more and more dense as the black and white fog island became smaller and smaller. Boom! Finally, the huge island that was originally more than 1,000 miles. It was reduced to only a few dozen miles in size. If it weren't for the fact that some towns and villages had received the news in advance and quickly moved to the center of the island during this period, it would be unknown how many people would be drowned in the vast ocean this time. However, in this way, millions of people gathered on an island with a diameter of dozens of miles, but it seemed extremely crowded. But the current situation is special, and Chen Ronghuo has no good way, so he can only do it temporarily. After the black and white mist island was refined into its shell by the big river crab, it became much stronger, and it was completely a huge sea fortress. This huge fortress will have to withstand countless fierce battles in the future. Therefore, it is not advisable to build high-rise buildings on the island. However, high-rise buildings cannot be built, but with Chen Ronghuo's left-hand ability, it is still possible to build some 2- or 3-story small buildings on the island. In addition, he can also build some survival bases underground in the Black and White Mist Island. At the same time, although the Black and White Mist Island has become countless times smaller, if a suitable place is found, the big river crab can still release the concentrated part of the Black and White Mist Island again. And as the big river crab's cultivation increases, it can also further expand the size of the Black and White Mist Island by swallowing spiritual objects with earth and stone attributes. Lord, the sail of the ghost ship has been dealt with. At this time, Fang Qingjian hurried over and handed a sail with a skull pattern to Chen Ronghuo. At this time, Chen Ronghuo stood on the edge of the Black and White Mist Island, which was concentrated to the extreme. He looked forward and could see the big river crab waving its 2 large claws, one black and one white, excitedly. After refining the Black and White Mist Island into its shell, the big river crab's body suddenly became dozens of miles larger, and even the size of its 2 large claws rose with the tide. Set sail. Chen Ronghuo inserted the sail of the wronged soul in his hand. The original sail of the wronged soul was only more than 2 meters high, but after he inserted it on the Black and White Mist Island and stimulated it with the power of the soul, it immediately became tens or hundreds of meters high. The banner with black patterns on the skull fluttered in the wind, emitting bursts of black aura. It seemed that countless wronged souls were crying and wailing in it. At the same time, the skull pattern seemed more vivid and profound under the lingering black aura. Chen Ronghuo stood under the skull flag, looking at the vast and boundless sea in the distance. His heart was surging. Boom! At this time, under Chen Ronghuo's command, the river crab moved its huge body, and swam forward quickly with the help of the ghost sail. This time, its swimming speed was many times faster than before it refined the black and white mist island. In the blink of an eye, it swam out of the sea area with the entire island. Beside Chen Ronghuo, Fang Qingjian and Shen Baishan were both stunned. Before, they were still thinking that Chen Ronghuo had offended the snake god temple, and even if he could run away, he could not run away from the temple. But they did not expect that Chen Ronghuo would even run away with the temple. They looked at each other, looked back, and smiled bitterly at the same time. This time, they were completely at ease. From today, the Black and White Mist Island will be renamed the River Crab Island. The Green Water Bay Town leader will be renamed the River Crab leader. Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo suddenly spoke loudly, transmitting the huge voice to the entire island. But when he opened his mouth to speak, he did not forget to use the sealing ability of the ancient book to seal up all the auras emitted by the giant river crab when it swam. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 339. Boom. It suddenly started to rain heavily. Under the heavy leaden clouds, the ocean was raging, coupled with the terrifying electric snakes. Not many aquatic life dared to float to the surface at this time. But under this heavy rain, a pitch-black giant, dozens of miles in size, shrouded in black and white fog, pressed down layers of huge waves and drove quickly in the sea. It gave people a sense of power over the ocean. This giant was the Crab Island. Under the cover of the black and white fog, not a drop of rain could fall on the island. At this time, 1 day had passed since Chen Ronghuo renamed the Black and White Fog Island to the Crab Island and left the original sea area. Because the Crab Island was dozens of miles in size, even if the big crab broke through to the 5th level and had infinite power, and had the assistance of the ghost sail with a skull pattern, it only traveled tens of thousands of miles in 1 day. Wow! Suddenly, under the illumination of countless thunder and lightning, a huge sea snake suddenly rushed out from the sea in front. The sea snake raised its head high, and the part exposed above the sea was 50 or 60 meters long. The light blue scales flickered with ripples under the lightning. But the most eye-catching thing was its pair of scarlet snake eyes. Those were a pair of eyes that showed endless greed. At this time, the huge sea snake was staring at the Crab Island from afar with its blood-red mouth open. Chen Ronghuo stood on the edge of the Crab Island and could even see a huge black-headed whale struggling frantically in the depths of the sea snake's mouth. However, although the black-headed whale was also extraordinary, it only stagnated for a moment when it entered the mouth of the sea snake, and was swallowed into the stomach of the sea snake. Then, visible to the naked eye, the belly of the sea snake bulged rapidly. The 5th mutation of the greedy snake, the initial stage of the 5th level. Condensed the law of greed. Talent, greedy blood. It can devour other lives and plunder their power. Note, the greedy snake is an extremely terrifying life. It devours a large number of other lives every day. If there is enough food, it can grow rapidly in a short time. But once there is not enough food, it will even go crazy and eat itself. Master, do you want to kill this one too? The big river crab waved its 2 huge claws and excitedly said to Chen Ronghuo. No, let's see if we can catch this one first. Chen Ronghuo looked at the huge mutant greedy snake from a distance, with a hint of fiery color in his eyes. Because of the huge size of the river crab island, it attracted the attention of a large number of lives along the way. Chen Ronghuo ignored all the monsters that came out of the black magic stargate because their souls would not be taken. But when encountering other lives that may reveal the whereabouts of the river crab island, Chen Ronghuo will wipe them out. Where the river crab island passes, it harmonizes all the disharmony. At this time, this mutant greedy snake is within the harmonious range of the river crab island. However, in addition to the fact that the sea snake blocked the way of the Crab Island and might reveal the whereabouts of the Crab Island, it was also related to the fact that Chen Ronghuo had taken a fancy to the blood of this greedy sea snake. In the eyes of others, this is a big monster. But in the eyes of Chen Ronghuo, who has the ability of his left hand, he can transform it into a big killer. Roar. In the distance, the mutant greedy snake roared after looking at the crab island twice, and plunged its huge snake head into the sea water, ready to leave. Although it is greedy, it also knows the word knowing what's interesting. Facing such a huge monster as the crab island, even if it is hungry, it dare not rush up. If there is really no way, it can still eat itself, right? But at this moment, Chen Ronghuo suddenly held the disaster bead in his hand, expanded his pupils, and covered a large area of the world in front of him. I am the source of disaster, the wind obeys my call, the sea responds to my call, hurricane tsunami. The glow of the power of faith flashed from him, and at the same time, a word came out of his mouth. Such words would seem extremely childish on earth, but in this world with gods, it can make it easier for practitioners to connect with the power of rules. Boom! As Chen Ronghuo finished speaking, a huge roar sounded thousands of meters ahead. The violent tsunami rose upward, surging with an extremely huge force, and suddenly knocked back the head of the mutant greedy snake that was about to dive into the water. At the same time, the terrifying hurricane also roared at the same moment, sweeping around, with the mutant greedy snake as the center, as if to roll up its huge body from the sea. The mutant greedy snake felt something was wrong and immediately struggled hard. Boom! Suddenly, the sea water was broken, and a pitch-black giant claw stretched out from under the sea, as if it was a black dragon scissors that appeared from a myth, locking the mutant greedy snake at a strange angle. Roar! The mutant greedy snake roared violently, and its huge tail was pulled out from the sea water, whipping the big river crab's claws like a whip. Snap! The tail of the snake whipped the big river crab's claws, making a loud noise. But such a whipping was not painful for the big river crab. It feels good to be beaten, right? The big river crab's claws suddenly turned over, and with violent force, it pushed the mutant greedy snake's tail that wanted to be pulled back, and directly made its tail hit its snake head. Hit again. Then the big river crab opened its claws and clamped it together with the snake's head and tail. The power inheritance it received not only included the inheritance of laws, but also included many powerful combat skills. Although the mutated greedy snake has a strong bloodline, it is far inferior to the great river crab, who is equally powerful in talent, has received the inheritance of the god of strength, and has also refined the double spear of the god of strength, a half-step pillar god-level treasure. The mutated greedy snake struggled hard in the claws of the big river crab, but this struggle seemed extremely powerless. In fact, its size is hundreds of meters long, but hundreds of meters long, it is not as big as a single pincer of a river crab. Master, this guy is such a waste. If you want me to see it, why not stew it? The big river crab chattered in pieces. However, after clamping the mutated greedy snake, it immediately retracted the crab claws and sent it to Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo ignored the big river crab. After the big river crab sent the mutated greedy snake to him, he immediately put his left hand on the big guy. Roar! The mutated greed was extremely violent. Even if he was pinched tightly by a big river crab, facing Chen Ronghuo, he would still spit out his words and roar. And from its open mouth, there was a terrifying suction force, as if it wanted to swallow Chen Ronghuo. Be honest with me. The big river crab was angry, and with a slight force, the two eyes of the mutated greedy snake popped out. Snake power add 1. Blood of greed add 1. Blood of sea serpent add 1. Huge add 1. Chen Ronghuo ignored all this. With the big river crab around, he could completely wipe out all the physical attributes of this terrifying life that had reached the 5th level. He didn't intend to kill the mutant greedy snake. For him, he could definitely find out most of the attributes of this big snake, especially the greedy blood in its body. In this way, he could keep this big snake half dead on River Crab Island and tame it. Then stock up on food, and when it is needed, give it a large amount of food to increase its cultivation in a short period of time. Lifestyles above level 5 will have a certain amount of wisdom. Chen Ronghuo believed in himself that it shouldn't be too difficult to tame this big snake. Just like the black ice toad it encountered in the important town of Longtan before. The black ice toad has already become obedient to him. Ho ho ho! The mutant greedy snake roared one after another, but as Chen Ronghuo took out more and more attributes from its body, its roar became weaker and weaker. Boom! While the mutated greedy snake roared violently, the big river crab still swam forward quickly. Because of the majestic rainstorm and the roar of the mutated greedy snake, all life in the ocean fled away after hearing the noise. Huh! After a full hour, Chen Ronghuo let out a long breath. After an hour of hard work, he had taken out all the attributes in the mutated greedy snake's body. Just to prevent it from disappearing into nothing, he returned some of it while taking out the attributes from its body. But when everything was over, especially after Chen Ronghuo found out the huge attributes in its body and various other attributes related to its size, the mutated greedy snakes originally hundreds of meters in size turned into the size of chopsticks. Chen Ronghuo grabbed the little guy with his hand and let it bite his hand with its fangs. Seeing that there was not even a white mark on his hand, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. He wrapped the little thing around his wrist, looked up and saw a ray of golden light breaking through the layers of dark clouds, and the rain that fell at the same time became thinner. Okay, let's stop here first. In addition, you use black and white fog evil to protect Hexy Island, and then sink Hexy Island to the bottom of the sea. After Chen Ronghuo used ancient books to deduce that there was not much danger here, he suddenly spoke. Originally, he planned to let Zhenkinzan set up a waterproof formation, but now that Zhenkinzan only has a 4th level cultivation level, he was still unable to set up a large waterproof formation. However, after what happened just now when Dahi Crab used the black and white mist to block the rain, he suddenly thought that even if He Crab Island did not have a waterproof formation, he could still dive underwater. The black and white mist is naturally equivalent to a protective formation on Hexy Island. Boom! After hearing Chen Ronghuo's order, Dahi Crab immediately aroused the black and white fog that enveloped He Crab Island to become extremely dense, and at the same time sank to the bottom of the sea. However, the black and white mist evil activated by the big river crab is wrapped in white mist with black mist. So from the outside, the entire Hekra Island is pitch black. Slowly, the endless sea water submerged Hexy Island. Hiss! The mutated greedy snake that became as big as a noodle kept spitting snakes at Chen Ronghuo, but Chen Ronghuo ignored it. This blue sea. Because the hurricane stopped, many colorful lives emerged in the sea. But seeing the huge He Crab Island, all life forms rushed to escape into the distance. But this time, Chen Ronghuo ignored these little lives. After running so far, it's almost done. He was confident that the people in the Snake Temple would at most find that Black and White Kirishima had disappeared. But how exactly Black and White Kirishima disappeared, they couldn't figure it out no matter how hard they tried. So next, the Snake Temple will definitely continue to search for Black and White Kirishima, but it will definitely not search aggressively without any targets. Instead, they will focus most of their attention on preventing other islands in the Gatuo Snake Archipelago from disappearing like the Black and White Mist Island. At the same time, even if they really searched for the Black and White Mist Island, could they still search for it on the seabed 90,000 miles away? Not to mention that the Black and White Mist has the ability to block vision and soul power exploration. So he is safe now? And just as Chen Ronghuo was thinking this, a figure in a grey-white robe flashed in the void 90,000 miles away and suddenly appeared above the original Black and White Mist Island. This man has a high nose bridge and white skin, and his body is about 2.23 meters tall. The grey-white robe he wears seems to be unable to cover his huge body. Such a body size gives him an extremely tyrannical demeanor, as if he is a wall that is about to fall down, and people standing in front of him will want to avoid him involuntarily. This person is Lei Lin of the Snake God Temple. At the same time, he is also one of the 12 6th level deacons of the Snake God Temple who is most valued by the Snake God High Priest. Lei Lin stood in the void, his eagle-like eyes seemed to see through the turbulent sea, looking down at the sea. Disappeared out of thin air? Could it be that a 6th level cultivator like me had smashed the Black and White Mist Island into pieces? If it was just smashed into pieces, there should be fragments. Could it be that it was a 7th level cultivator? Lei Lin's face became more and more solemn. He felt that he could not see through the situation. As for the fact that the Black and White Mist Island was refined and then ran away with long legs, he could not figure it out even if he was given another head. Swoosh. After thinking that the disappearance of the Black and White Mist Island might be related to a 7th level or higher strongman, he left here and flew to the Snake God Temple. As Chen Ronghuo expected, when there was no target or trace to be found, the Snake God Temple would definitely be very concerned about the disappearance of an island thousands of miles in size. However, they would never disperse their forces and search for the Black and White Mist Island, but would focus their main attention on preventing the same thing from happening again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 340. Black and White carries Hima. In the Snake Temple, the High Priest of the Snake God in black robes frowned. He couldn't go out because he had to control the two-panel snake formation. But he can sense the Snake Mother's condition every few days. Black and White carries Hima disappears, and the resurrecting Snake Mother will also be affected, thus prolonging the resurrection time. But he didn't know why, but he sensed that the speed of the Snake Mother's resurrection actually accelerated. He took a deep breath and said, Lei Lin, next you secretly investigate the Black and White Kiri Island matter. At the same time, you must be careful not to let any accident happen to any living island in the Jado Snake Islands. Yes. Lei Lin, who was wearing a gray-white robe, responded. Kakaka. 90,000 miles away at the bottom of the sea, a giant river crab stretched out two huge pincers and began to work. Its two large pliers are like the claws of an excavator, digging up huge rocks from the seabed and throwing them on its back. Under Xiaoruo's organization, the residents of the Hexi territory who had cultivation skills removed these huge stones, cut them into evenly sized stones, and then moved them to other places. Then on the back of the river crab, a city was built and a wall was built around it. This sea area is blue. Even the bottom of the sea is only slightly dim. After a day of adapting, the nearby fish and various other strange life forms all adapted to the existence of River Crab Island after seeing that this behemoth was harmless. However, because of the huge size of the river crab, nothing dared to get close to it. Even the monsters on the bottom of the sea don't have many unscrupulous ideas to attack Chen Ronghuo's huge river crab leader. At the same time, Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian, who were previously subdued by Chen Ronghuo, and their 10 subordinates have all given up. Things are already like this, what else can they do? Chen Ronghuo, who had explained everything, immediately began practicing in seclusion. Now he has no worries and can practice well. This time, he subdued the two 5th level practitioners Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian when they attacked. In addition, he was in the demon ceiling land not long ago and let the fat cat devour the 5th level blue-eyed black tiger, and obtain the breath of the law of tribulation is enough for him to practice the secrets of the law of tribulation, the law of disaster, and the law of fire to the peak of the 4th level. However, even if his 3 laws reached the peak of the 4th level, he would not be able to break through to the 5th level. Unless he is willing to give up the secrets of other laws that he has condensed. Otherwise, if he wants to break through to the 5th level, he must practice all the secrets of the laws to the peak of the 4th level. Then condense the secrets of these laws into a law talisman. The more laws and secrets you practice, the slower your practice will be. That's it. However, the more laws and secrets he understands, the stronger he will be in the future. Chen Ronghuo has many trump cards in his hand. It would be a waste if he gave up one or even multiple laws and secrets. When you reach the 5th level of cultivation, things should get better. Chen Ronghuo has expectations in his heart. He calculated it using ancient books. He knew that after he reached the 5th level of cultivation and condensed all the secrets of the laws into a law talisman, the laws he condensed would be connected to each other. When he regains the breath of the law of tribulation, he will not only be limited to practicing the 3 laws of law of tribulation, law of disaster, and law of flame. Instead, it can be used to speed up the cultivation of the power of all laws. At that time, his other 5 laws, the law of power, the law of curse, the law of blood, the law of immortality, and even the law of contract, can all benefit from it. I still want to return to the Holy Tiger sect, and my cultivation cannot be improved too fast. The secrets of the 3 laws, the law of tribulation, the law of disaster, and the law of flame, have just been cultivated to the late 4th level, and now they have reached the peak of the 4th level, which cannot be explained. Chen Ronghuo knew it well and sealed all the breath of the law of calamity he obtained this time in the seal pages of the ancient book. The improvement of cultivation level should not be rushed for a while. What he needs to do most next is to first upgrade all the other laws he practices to be on par with the mysteries of these laws. The mysteries of contract laws he practices are related to his own cultivation and the level of the demon he contracts with, so he has currently reached the late 4th level. Currently, the secret of his bloodline law is at the mid-4th level. The secret of the law of immortality is not far from the late 4th stage due to the rapid progress of the secret of the law of blood. The rest are mainly the law of power and the law of curse. These 2 laws and secrets that he unexpectedly understood, because he spent too little time, are now only at the early stage of the 4th level. Practice the law of curse first. Chen Ronghuo made a decision. He has the pearl of disaster in his hand, so it is relatively easy to practice the law of curse. After making the decision, Chen Ronghuo held the pearl of disaster while burning the power of faith to bless his body, and then quickly understood the secrets of the curse law by practicing the spell. Compared with other curse techniques, Chen Ronghuo has a special liking for the curse technique. While Chen Ronghuo was practicing, all his subordinates also started practicing. Wang Chao, Ho San, Zhangzhij Kinzan and others all received a lot of power of faith from him. This time, the power of faith he captured from Baishan Island and Qinjian Island was much more than the power of faith he had accumulated, and it was also considered pure. With so much faith power, his subordinates can all improve their cultivation in a short period of time. During the cultivation, time passed day by day. The big river crab mastered the laws of night and day. During the day, it condensed a sphere with white mist spirit evil, and made it hang in the sky to act as the sun. At night, it condensed a black sun with black mist spirit evil, and hung it high in the sky. Under the alternation of black and white, the ecosystem of the river crab island was the same as when it was on the sea surface, and was not affected in the slightest. So even if the area of the river crab island is countless times smaller than before, the output of those special crops made by Chen Ronghuo can also supply the needs of millions of people on the river crab island. The undercurrent was surging on the seabed, and a dark green-black turtle hundreds of meters long quickly passed by on the seabed. Looking closely, you can see hundreds of people standing nervously on the back of the black turtle. These people looked back from time to time, as if there was a terrifying monster chasing them from behind. Uncle San, we can't run away. The blue whale of the blue whale leader is a 5th level late stage demon. Grandpa Turtle is no match for it. Let's go to the sea. Go to the sea, everyone scatter and escape, whoever can escape is a winner. A woman in a goose yellow dress on the back of the black turtle said to a pale old man. Wait a little longer, the blue whale leader must have laid a net on the sea. If we go to the sea, We will die, the old man said in a deep voice. Let's wait a little longer. There is a deep-sea blue eye in the thousands of miles. When we get there, everyone will enter the deep-sea blue eye. Whether we live or die will depend on fate. Deep-sea blue eye. The girl in the goose yellow dress and others turned pale when they heard this. Deep-sea blue eyes refer to some space channels in the sea that are connected to unknown places. Such space channels have various forces intertwined inside. It seems that once they, who are less than the 5th level practitioners, enter, they will really leave their lives to fate. But they also knew that for them, going to the deep-sea blue eye might be their only chance to survive this time. Even if the chance of survival was pitifully small. Whoosh! Not long after the black tortoise passed by, a huge blue whale that was 1,000 meters long suddenly caught up from behind. There were also hundreds of people standing on this blue whale. But unlike the hundreds of people with their families on the black tortoise before, these hundreds of people were all well equipped and led by a soldier in blue armor. Sir, the people from Tokyo Island just passed by not long ago. An adjutant performed a secret technique and said after a brief calculation. Blue whale, speed up. The general in blue armor said coldly. Whoosh! Hearing his words, the blue whale under them suddenly sped up slightly. Third grandpa, look, what is that? Suddenly, the girl in a yellow dress who was fleeing on a giant black turtle looked at a huge monster on the seabed in front of her, and a trace of astonishment appeared in her eyes. What? The pale old man followed the girl's gaze. When he saw a huge monster covered in rolling black fog, his face changed and he hurriedly said, Uncle Turtle, get away from that thing. There are countless dangers in the deep sea, even the 5th level demons can hardly dominate in the deep sea. The old man didn't know what the huge monster covered in black fog in front of him was, but it didn't prevent him from avoiding it. There is a recognized rule in the deep sea, that is, if you encounter a strange area, avoid it if you can. He guessed that the huge monster in front of him was probably an unknown strange place that suddenly formed in the deep sea. Such a strange place is generally home to precious treasures. But treasures are often accompanied by huge dangers. They are now running for their lives and have no interest in the so-called treasures. I understand. An old voice came out of the black turtle. It obviously didn't want to bump into the giant in front of it, so before the yellow girl spoke, it had already begun to change direction and planned to go around the side of the giant. What a nice smell, it's soil, it's a spiritual object with earth attribute. Just at this moment, the big river crab that was sleeping on the seabed suddenly opened its eyes and looked at the black turtle, especially the hundreds of people on the black turtle. It smelled a very tempting smell on these hundreds of people. After breaking through to the 5th level, it melted the law of force, the law of earth, the law of fog, and the law of night and day into a law talisman. Under the influence of this law talisman, it still only needs to eat earth attribute spiritual objects to speed up the promotion. Even if it swallows earth attribute spiritual objects, it can also speed up the comprehension of the law of force and several other laws. Stop, I am the king of deep sea river crabs. You guys dare not come to see me when you see me, are you looking for trouble? Seeing that the people from Tokyo Island wanted to escape from its side, it immediately stretched out one of its big claws and stopped the people from Tokyo Island. Its big claw alone is more than 20 times larger than the black tortoise that is hundreds of meters long. The huge claw hung upside down and stopped above the heads of a group of people, making everyone on Tokyo Island pale. This thing is actually a huge life. Everyone on Tokyo Island was trembling in their souls. Before, they only thought that the thing shrouded in black fog was a strange place that suddenly appeared in the depths of the sea. Things like this are not uncommon, but they never thought that this huge monster was actually a terrifying life form. Deep Sea River Crab King? Thanks to I am him for the 200 coin reward at landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chao Ji Peng. Chapter 341. King of the Deep Sea River Crab, I am from Tokyo Island. I wonder why the king stopped us. The old man was dripping with cold sweat as he looked at the huge pliers hanging upside down above his and others' heads. After receiving the inheritance of the god of power and the parts of the god of night and day, Dahi Crab received many secret inheritances. In addition, the black and white mist it controls is one of the top concealing fogs, making it impossible for practitioners whose cultivation level does not exceed it to see its cultivation level at all. In the deep sea, it is generally recognized that the larger the life form, the stronger it is. Everyone on Tokyo Island felt their scalps go numb just by seeing the huge size of the big river crab. What's up? The big river crab blinked. Its gaze passed through the layers of two-colored mist and fell on the group of people. After thinking about it for a moment, it recalled the stories that Chen Ronghuo had told everyone in Xiahe village when he was in Xiahe village. It suddenly said, I drive this road. I vomited this water. I want to pass by and leave some money. Is this a robbery? The old man was stunned. But he knew that the most important thing at the moment was to stabilize the big river crab, satisfy all the big river crab's requirements, and then escape from here as soon as possible, otherwise he would be in trouble when the blue whale led by the blue whale behind caught up. The great king of the deep sea river crab, we are willing to dedicate all the gold coins we have in our possession, hoping that the king can. What are gold coins? Can they be eaten? The big river crab interrupted the old man's words. It showed a stony gaze with a hint of fiery heat. It fell on the people on Tokyo Island and said, what kind of skills are you practicing? What technique does your majesty want us to practice? The old man was startled. Bah, Dahi Crab's voice was like thunder, what do I want from your broken skills? I want the power you cultivated. In this way, if you are not busy, you can stay with me for a while. Then contribute the earth attribute spiritual power you have cultivated to me every day. If you do well, this great king will even teach you more advanced techniques when he is happy. At this time, the big river crab had already felt that the tempting smell it smelled from the people on Tokyo Island was actually coming from the bodies of the people on Tokyo Island. That is the source of power for the people on Tokyo Island. Live here for a while. The old man felt that his teeth were choked by cold water. He had walked through this area countless times, and nothing happened every time before. But this time, at the most critical moment, he encountered such an unreasonable behemoth. Third Grandpa. At this time, the girl in a goose yellow skirt suddenly gave the old man a wink. It's a pity that the old man was already desperate at this time and didn't even notice the look of the girl in the yellow dress. The girl in the yellow dress had no choice but to raise her voice slightly and said, Great Crab King, it's not that we don't want to leave passing wealth, it's just that we are being chased by the blue sea whale led by the blue whale. That blue sea whale is 5 late-stage monster. Once we are overtaken by that giant blue whale, we are afraid that the king crab will be implicated. Blue sea whale. The big river crab was startled. As the black and white fog swirled around, a terrifying smile suddenly appeared on his face, and he waved his pliers and said, in that case, let's go. Ah! The girl in the yellow dress opened her mouth slightly. She originally wanted to use the power of the big river crab to resist the people who were being pursued by the blue whale leader. But they didn't expect that the seemingly terrifying big river crab would be so cowardly. As soon as I heard the name of the blue sea giant whale, I immediately gave in. Thank you, King Crab, we will leave now. The old man reacted. He informed Xiangui that he would take him and others and leave quickly. Let's go, where do you want to go? At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from behind, followed by a huge blue whale that was more than a kilometer long, carrying hundreds of soldiers with bright armor, and quickly rushed over. Not good. The old man turned his head and saw these people. A look of despair suddenly appeared on his face. Originally, they still had hope of escaping to the eye of the deep blue sea and seeking a glimmer of hope with the help of the eye of the deep blue sea. However, being blocked by the big river crab, They had no chance at all. Everyone, prepare to fight. The old man looked determined. At this point, the only option is to fight to the death. The black turtle carrying them was actually a fifth-order early-stage demon like the big river crab. The people of Tokyo Island are born with special physiques. They can connect their strength with the black turtle, making the black turtle exert stronger power. Therefore, although they are no match for the blue sea giant whale and the blue whale guards on it, they will not be captured without mercy. Desperately, the soldier in blue armor on the deep blue whale glanced at the old man with disdain, and then set his eyes on the big river crab from a distance. Looking at the big river crab, he frowned slightly, wondering when such a giant creature came to the deep blue sea. But just now he heard the words of the big river crab giving in when he mentioned the blue sea giant whale, so his fear of the big river crab is limited. The commander of the blue whale guards, Gong Yezhu, has met His Excellency the Great Demon. Many powerful monsters have no names, so when weak people see powerful monsters, they call them the Great Monster. Gong Yezhu looked at Dahi Crab and said respectfully, "These people are the most wanted criminals in our blue whale leader. Thank you, Your Majesty the Great Demon, for giving these people to our blue whale leader. We, the blue whale leader, are very grateful. Afterwards, I will notify the Lord and ask someone to come in person to thank the Great Demon." After saying this, Gong Yezhu's eyes flashed. The Lord of the Blue Whale territory is named Lan Yuan, and he is his brother-in-law. Lan Yuan is a powerful magician. The deep blue whale beneath them is one of the demons in the Blue Abyss contract. However, although Lan Yuan is now a late 5th level cultivator, he has only contracted 4 demons. Before the 6th level, he could still contract 1 demon. He stared at the big river crab, guessing the cultivation level of the big river crab. Although with the size of the big river crab, the probability of being a 5th level monster is low, but judging from what the big river crab just said, it seems that it is not impossible, and it is not a 5th order monster. A 5th level demon of such size. The depths of Gong Yezhu's pupils were filled with darkness. "Give them to you," but at this moment, the big river crab's tone suddenly turned cold, and his voice was like muffled thunder, sending ripples in the deep sea. "Who said I was going to give them to you? I am the great deep sea crab king. Are you, a mere blue whale leader, worthy of me?" Chen Ronghuo had already made some calculations when he settled here. "I know that the sea area is called the Deep Blue Sea. With the strength of their river crab kingdom, they cannot be king in the Deep Blue Sea for the time being. But you can also compete with the top forces without fear of anyone. The blue whale territory is one of the top forces in the Deep Blue Sea." But Dahi Crab had already received an explanation from Chen Ronghuo, and knew that he didn't have to take action. As long as he lay down here, few forces in the entire Deep Blue Sea dared to provoke him. In the deep sea, being big is a symbol of strength. As soon as he finished speaking, Dahi Crab looked at Gong Yezhu's extremely ugly face and turned his gaze to the people on Tokyo Island who were ready to fight to the death. "Before, I proposed that you pay for the road money, but I just started a fight with you. Just a joke. As a great deep sea river crab king, I never force others to do anything difficult. But I feel that I am destined to you, so I can give you a chance. As long as you are willing to join me and be driven by me, I will help you take over your trouble this time. Of course, as I said before, I never force others to do anything. So if you don't want to, just leave, I will never stop you." After saying these words, a look of triumph immediately appeared on Dahi Crab's face. It has followed Chen Ronghuo for a long time, and it feels like it has learned some great skills from its great master. However, because it was obscured by layers of black and white fog, no one could see the expression of the big river crab. After hearing what big river crab said, everyone on Tokyo Island turned around in shock. "Thank you to the great deep sea crab king for your generosity." The leader of the old man's face turned red. He was both excited and depressed. But for the lives of the entire clan, he had to say passionately, "I would like to represent Tokyo Island. All personnel, surrender to the Deep-Sea Crab King." After he finished speaking, the black turtle under everyone on Tokyo Island moved its 4 turtle legs and swam straight to the big river crab. Gongye's whose face was extremely gloomy. "Your Majesty the Great Demon, do you really want to roll?" Dahi Crab spoke coldly and said in an extremely domineering manner, "I have never killed anyone, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to kill. If you beep again, don't blame me for putting you in the pot." Big river crabs know their advantage, which is their huge size. The deep blue whale under Mayahafusuzuo has a late 5th level cultivation level. With its early 5th level strength, facing this deep blue whale, even if it can occupy the top with the help of the power of the artifact, it still wants to keep it there. Here, it's probably unlikely. After all, no matter how powerful the artifact is, it still requires sufficient cultivation to bring out its power. So, with its huge size, as long as it doesn't take action, it is the strongest in the deep blue sea, bar none. Let's go. Gongye's whose eyes flashed wildly, but in the end, he still did not dare to take action. The size of the big river crab is so intimidating. The huge body of the deep blue whale, which is thousands of meters long, is simply dwarfed by the giant river crab. Staring at Gongye's who leaving, Dahi Crab shook his head. "I feel like I really learned some essential things from Chen Ronghuo. The master said that conspiracies and tricks are all false. Only strong strength is the truth. Next, I will work hard to improve my strength immediately." It set its sights on the hundreds of people on the back of the black turtle that had swam in front of it. "On the people of Tokyo Island, children, from today on, the purpose of your existence is not to let me starve. Now, you are divided into 30 teams. Team after team took turns releasing their power into my mouth. But don't worry, I will never treat my own people badly. As long as you perform well, I will have everything you need, whether it's stronger techniques, spiritual food, or elixirs. For it, cultivation means eating. The more you eat, the faster you will practice." With his current strength, he is not yet able to dominate the deep blue sea. But when it reaches the mid-level 5th level, that won't necessarily happen. And the opportunity to raise his cultivation level to the middle of the 5th level lies with everyone on Tokyo Island. Everyone on Tokyo Island looked at each other in bewilderment. They didn't believe that the big river crab could turn into elixir. However, they looked at the huge river crab and felt the huge pressure coming from it. They had to follow its instructions and divide into 30 teams. Then they began to release their own power in turn and hit it. At the same time, the blue whale territory. A figure wearing a blue robe sat quietly on the Lord's throne. He was the Lord of the blue whale territory, Lan Yuan. Lan Yuan looked at Gongye's who below and said, "You said that you encountered a huge life of dozens of miles in size at the edge of the deep blue sea. The people of Tokyo Island and the mud turtle were all saved by that huge life." "Brother-in-law, that's it." Gongye's who nodded and said, "Brother-in-law, after you have cultivated to the 5th level, you haven't contracted a new demon. Do you think we should find someone to test the strength of that demon? I always feel that the demon is a bit weird. If it really has the strength of the 6th level or above, how could it let us go? If the big demon is only at level 5, I think it is just right for you, my brother-in-law, to make a contract with it. A level 5 demon can have such a large body, and its talent and potential can be imagined." Lan Yuan stood up from his seat, took 2 steps, and said, "There is no rush for this matter. The deep blue flower I cultivated will mature in these days. Next, I will use the deep blue flower to break through to the peak of level 5 with the deep blue whale. So in the next few years, don't act rashly. Break through to the peak of level 5. Gongye's whose eyes lit up when he heard this. If Lan Yuan and the deep blue whale break through at the same time, even if they are the blue whale leader, they will not be far from dominating the entire deep blue sea. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 342. Another 2 months later. In the deep blue sea, a big river crab lies on the bottom of the sea. Circles of strange ripples spread out around its body. Under the ripples, a waterless area appears around its body. In 2 months, everyone on Tokyo Island has adapted to life under the sea. Following Big River Crab's instructions, they were divided into 30 teams, taking turns to draw out the power in their bodies and dedicate it to Big River Crab. The people on their Tokyo Island are all born with special physiques. Everyone can easily attract Earth spiritual energy, and the Earth spiritual energy they cultivate is much purer than that produced by other Earth attribute cultivators at the same level. It is precisely for this reason that the Big River Crab will save them from the hands of the people who led the blue whale. It had a hunch that with the constant supply from the people on Tokyo Island, it would take only 2 or 3 years for it to be able to practice from the early stage of the 5th stage to the middle stage of the 5th stage. The higher the level of a practitioner, the harder it is to progress. There are very few people like him who are sure to make a small improvement in 2 or 3 years. Oh, Jokamen, your team did a good job. It opened its big mouth and swallowed all the earth yellow light thrown by the people on Tokyo Island into its mouth. Now let's change to the next team, and these earth attribute spiritual foods will be rewarded to you. After it finished speaking, it had a thought in its mind, and immediately a huge iron pot rushed out of the billowing black mist on its back and landed in front of the group of people from Tokyo Island. In the iron pot, exuding an earthy yellow halo, they are all like rice grains the size of glass balls, piled up in a pot. After the iron pot appeared, the group of people on Tokyo Island, regardless of gender, old or young, all secretly swallowed their saliva when they smelled the incredible aroma of rice emanating from the pot of rice. So delicious! When they used the Big River Crab to help them fend off the blue whale leader that day, they thought they and the others had just stepped out of the wolf's mouth and into the tiger's den. But they didn't expect that the powerful skills, elixirs, spiritual food, etc. promised by Dehi Crab actually existed, and they were actually rewarded. In just 2 months, with the many treasures provided by the Big River Crab, hundreds of them have improved a lot than before. Especially the technique that Dehi Crab passed on to them was even better than their original technique. However, the only thing that puzzled them was that they didn't know where the Big River Crab got so many things. For example, the rice cooked in the iron pot in front of you is made from earth-attributed spiritual rice. It's actually still steaming hot. Although there are some better space equipment that can keep the food inside at a constant temperature, this is obviously not the case here in Dehi Crab. Because once, the Big River Crab was so happy that he even asked them to catch some special bottom fish in the deep blue sea nearby and made them a feast of 100 fishes. Is it possible that this river crab king not only has us, but also others on its back? Jokamen, who was wearing a goose yellow skirt, thought curiously. But in this regard, she only dared to guess, not to ask more questions, let alone to explore too much. At the same time, like her, as time passed, other people on Tokyo Island also began to be curious about what was on the back of the Big River Crab, shrouded in black and white mist. On this day, Chen Ronghuo, who was in seclusion in the secret room, suddenly felt something in his heart. He felt a large wave of the law of calamity feedback from heaven and earth. This time, the breath of the law of calamity fed back from heaven and earth was much greater than the last time he conquered Shen Baishan and Fang Qingjian. Chen Ronghuo estimated that by using these breaths of the law of tribulation, if he gave up other laws and specialized in practicing the law of tribulation, the law of disaster, and the law of flame, he could even condense the law talismans in a short period of time and break through to the 5th level in one fell swoop. This time, he received too much feedback from the breath of the law of tribulation, far more than he expected. Is this from the demon-sealed land? I told Wu Tianchuo the address of Xuanhuan founded by Wu long before. Could it be that Xuanhuan has already attacked Xuanhuan and captured them? Chen Ronghuo stood up from the secret room. If Shenhe Gate is really captured, then he may have to go back to the demon-sealed land next. With this thought in mind, he immediately opened the secret room door, walked outside, and walked towards the alchemy hall. At this time, more than 3 months have passed since he last came back from the demon-sealed land. After 3 months of seclusion, with the help of the Pearl of Disaster and the Power of Faith, he had upgraded the secret of the Law of Curse from the early stage of the 4th level to the late stage of the 4th level. In addition, he also used most of the breath of the Law of Tribulation that he had previously sealed in the seal page of the ancient book. After using the breath of those laws of tribulation, his laws of tribulation, law of disaster, and law of flame were all promoted from the late 4th level to the peak 4th level in a short period of time. Originally, he was worried that his cultivation would improve too quickly and attract attention, so he did not want to use the breath of these laws of calamity. But then, he suddenly thought that with his left-hand power, he could solve this problem perfectly. As he walked to the alchemy hall, he stretched out his left hand, placed it between his eyebrows, and rubbed it gently. With the gentle rubbing of his left hand, he felt out the insights about the 3 laws of calamity, law of disaster, and law of fire that he had gained during this retreat, as well as the increased power in his body. As these 3 laws were discovered, his aura began to drop rapidly. From the peak of the 4th level, he dropped to the late 4th level. At the same time, he also discovered the mysteries of the law of power that he had just comprehended, as well as the mysteries of the law of curse that he had comprehended during his retreat. After these powers were discovered, he immediately returned to his original form. He looked exactly the same as when he had just returned from the demon-sealing land 3 months ago. In the square of the Lord's mansion, Chang Sun Zhengzin, who was holding a broom, turned his head in surprise when Chen Ronghuo's aura changed dramatically. He had a sharp eye, and almost no secret technique to hide his cultivation could be hidden from his eyes. But at this moment, he was a little stunned. I don't know how Chen Ronghuo did it, he couldn't even sense that Chen Ronghuo was using a concealing secret technique on him. Of course, with his temperament, he naturally wouldn't think too much. After Chen Ronghuo left, he held the broom and began to sweep the square again. The last time Shen Baishan and his men attacked, the aura emitted by his large white hairy Dan was swept into a speck of dust. At this time, the speck of dust was still in the square. And as he swept the square again and again, the breeze blew past, and the aura hidden in the speck of dust was also changing, becoming more and more strange and inexplicable. Alchemy Hall. Lord. After Chen Ronghuo came here, the guard of the alchemy hall guarding outside saw Chen Ronghuo and saluted hurriedly. Chen Ronghuo nodded and immediately signaled the guard to open the door. Bang! At this moment, there was a loud noise, and the closed door of the alchemy hall was suddenly knocked open by someone. At the moment of the knock, a man with a footprint on his body flew out quickly. At the same time, a woman with a sword appeared at the door of the alchemy hall with a fierce momentum. Zhangji? Chen Ronghuo moved his body to the side and avoided Zhangji, who was flying backwards. Lord. The originally aggressive Chang Sunyi's face immediately changed and turned red when he saw Chen Ronghuo. This is not the first time. What's going on with you? Chen Ronghuo asked curiously. Lord. Chang Sunyi took a deep breath. Master Zhang has been coming to the alchemy hall to disturb my meditation. I am so annoyed that, I hope the Lord can do justice for me. Chen Ronghuo was slightly stunned. He turned his head and looked at Zhangji, and saw that Zhangji had already climbed up from the ground. Although Zhangji was kicked, Chen Ronghuo saw that Zhangji's eyes looking at Chang Sunyi seemed to become more fiery. Is this, addicted to being kicked? You. Chen Ronghuo looked strange. He looked at Chang Sunyi, pondered for a moment, and sent a message to Chang Sunyi, love is priceless, so I really can't help you with justice, but I can give you an idea. If you believe me, you can find a guard. It doesn't matter if they are male or female, beautiful or ugly, as long as they are stronger than Zhangji, and then when Zhangji comes next time, you can just let your guards go to him. If you do this 3 or 5 times, I guarantee that Zhangji will shift his target from you to your guards. After saying this, Chen Ronghuo walked around Chang Sunyi. And Chang Sunyi was still thinking about what Chen Ronghuo had just said. Indistinctly, she set her eyes on Zhangji, who was still looking at her with burning eyes in the distance, and a strange look appeared on her face. It seemed that she had figured something out. After such an episode, Chen Ronghuo quickly found Chang Sun Genjiang in the alchemy hall and took all the tiger blood golden pills that Chang Sun Genjiang had refined during this period. Then, he found Yu Dupang and asked him to prepare a large table of deep blue sea fish feast. 5-sided white forest. Swish. Chen Ronghuo's figure flashed and he returned to his tree house. After he appeared, the fat cat, who was lying in the corner and staring at the place where Chen Ronghuo left without blinking, immediately flashed into Chen Ronghuo's arms like an orange lightning. Although the big river crab took the river crab island away from 90,000 miles and sank to the bottom of the sea, it can still open the channel between the two worlds and connect to the demon-sealed land. At the same time, when opening the channel between the two worlds, it can still locate the coordinates of the demon-sealed land. Even because it has obtained the inheritance of the God of Power, refined the God of Power's double spears, and broken through to the 5th level of cultivation, its current ability has become stronger than before. Before, it could only condense one map of the two worlds at a time. But now, it has the ability to condense 5 or 6 two-world maps at once. So when Chen Ronghuo came back this time, he not only brought the tail of the mother snake of Gaduo to the demon-sealing land, but also brought several two-world maps. In addition to keeping one for himself, he planned to give the remaining two-world maps to Huanglin, Zhu Daipen, and Li Haishui. They 3 should have come, right? Chen Ronghuo thought about these things while stroking the fat cat with his hands again and again. It seemed that because he had been away for too long this time, the fat cat didn't say a word after seeing him this time. But his eyes were crystal clear, as if tears were flashing in his eyes. Meow. Suddenly, the fat cat opened its mouth and suddenly bit Chen Ronghuo, biting his wrist. Ah, it hurts. Chen Ronghuo grinned, pretending to be in great pain. The fat cat opened his mouth and looked at the white teeth marks on Chen Nisang-er's hand. You are not a good owner. Director Hao never leaves his cat alone for so long. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Dupang. Chapter 343. Bad masters don't seem to bring good food to their cats. Chen Ronghuo turned his wrist, and a plate of fragrant big fish with its tail wagging in the plate appeared in his hand. He walked to the side, put the plate away from Fat Cat on the table, and showed a half smile on his face. Fat Cat blinked. Yes, you are a bad master. A good master will never bring back only one fish for his cat. Chen Ronghuo stretched out his left hand and gently stroked the plate of fish meat. All of a sudden, the tempting fish fragrance emanated from the plate of fish meat. Fat Cat sniffed and remained unmoved. It is a principled cat, how could it be tempted by this fish? Chen Ronghuo was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that after 3 months of not seeing it, Fat Cat could actually be so capable. He shook his head and stroked the plate of fish meat with his left hand again. This time, it directly blended 10 points of delicious attributes into the plate of fish meat made by Fish Dupang. Gulp. Fat Cat swallowed his saliva. It turned its head, and its dark green eyes fell on the plate of fish like a wolf. No. I, Fat Cat, have principles and bottom lines. But at this moment, Chen Ronghuo's left hand scratched the fish again. In an instant, an even more amazing aroma emanated from the fish. Meow. The fat cat suddenly jumped out of Chen Ronghuo's arms like lightning, landed on the table, and picked up the golden fried fish in one bite. In 3 months, it had digested the green-eyed black tiger it had swallowed before, and its cultivation level rose step by step, breaking through to the 5th level in one fell swoop. But even though it broke through to the 5th level, its will was firm and unshakable, but its body, when it was subjected to fatal temptation, was still not controlled by its will and betrayed it. It held the golden fried fish in its mouth, and before it began to swallow, just feeling its crispness, a confused look appeared in its cat's eyes. Eat slowly. Such a delicious fish is not easy for me to prepare. You have to taste it carefully. Chen Ronghuo tidied his clothes and started to walk out. At the same time, he said, "Look, I haven't made any progress in my cultivation in the past 3 months. I am preparing this fish for you." "Really?" The fat cat turned around with the fried fish in his mouth. After finding that Chen Ronghuo's cultivation had not improved at all, he was immediately moved. While holding the fish in his mouth, he said vaguely, "Master, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you just now." Then he showed a firm look in his eyes, as if he had made a great determination, and gritted his teeth and said, "I will eat this fish for 3 months. It's up to you." Chen Ronghuo waved his hand, "Eat slowly first. I'll go out for a while and come back soon." As he spoke, he opened the door and walked out. After leaving the tree house, Chen Ronghuo stood on the strong branches of the big tree, looking at the 5-sided white forest in the distance, and a hint of doubt suddenly appeared in his eyes. "See? My big head is right here, still warm. Is there no one left in your 5-sex alliance? No one dares to come up and fight me? You know, I just killed 2 of your disciples." An arrogant voice sounded from above the 5 directions white forest. Chen Ronghuo looked over and immediately saw a burly young man with a big beard standing in the void above the 5 directions white forest, looking at all directions with contempt. The bearded man had a huge cut on his neck, and bright red blood was still flowing out. Even his whole body was covered with blood, but he looked ferocious, but he didn't care at all. The 5-sex alliance disciples who were surrounding him seemed to be frightened by this scene, and no one dared to speak. Guo Ye, 4th level late stage barbarian warlock. Elite soldier of the 7th Legion of Tiangu territory. Innate ability, brutal blood burst. The more blood you bleed, the stronger you are. Status, severely injured. How could someone from Tiangu territory come to Wuifangbalan and kill people? After identifying the attributes of this cultivator, Chen Ronghuo's face changed slightly, showing a bit of solemnity. Tiangu territory is one of the 5 major forces in Shenyang territory, and it is also the largest force in the northern part of Shenyang territory. And the 5-sect alliance can barely be ranked below the 5 major forces in Shenyang territory, and among the 19 major forces of the 2nd rank. At the same time, as far as Chen Ronghuo knows, before this, the 5-sect alliance and the Zhenling city, the Demon Dragon territory, and the Xianming sect, which are also among the 19 major forces in the north, have always been secretly fighting against the aggressive Tiangu territory, but like now, there are very few cases where people from Tiangu territory go to Wuifangbalan to kill people. Swoosh! Chen Ronghuo's figure flashed and he arrived at the gathering place of a large number of Shengu sect disciples. Originally, he came back from the God's continent this time to ask about the situation of the Divine Tiger sect and what kind of reward he could get for providing information about the Divine Tiger sect space. But now, he obviously had to wait until this matter was over before he could talk about it. "Brother Yang, Sister Lu, what's going on?" After arriving at the gathering place of the disciples of the Holy Tiger sect, Chen Ronghuo immediately came to Yang Ting, who he was familiar with, and Lu Su and other core disciples of the Holy Tiger sect were not far away. "Brother Chen, you finally came out of seclusion." Seeing Chen Ronghuo, Yang Ting, Lu Su, and others all had bright eyes. Yang Ting briefly told the story, This person is called Guo Ye, and he is from the Tiangu territory. Junior brother Chen, you may not know that this morning, a group of people from the Tiangu territory suddenly came. I don't know what agreement they reached with the top leaders of our 5 factions alliance, and began to let their people from the Tiangu territory, and our 5 factions alliance's disciples of the same level compete and fight, regardless of life or death. This Guoye had just killed 2 disciples of the Shadow sect and his own level, but he was so arrogant that he continued to challenge even if he was seriously injured. Have the Tiangu territory reached an agreement with the top leaders of the 5 factions alliance? Chen Ronghuo frowned slightly. He obviously couldn't figure out matters involving the high-level officials of the sect, and he didn't have the ability to figure them out. He glanced around and saw a huge skybone warship suspended in the air on one side of Wuifangbalan. It seemed that it was made from countless bones. The white bone flag was hoisted on the battleship, and there were figures standing under the flag, all paying attention to the scene. Obviously these people are from the Tiangu territory. By the way, where did Li Man go? Why didn't he see her? Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo seemed to have thought of something and asked. Li Man. Yang Ting's face changed slightly. Not long ago, Li Man competed with a 4th level peak cultivator in Tiangu territory. After Li Man cut off one of the cultivator's arms, he was killed by the cultivator. He was using a secret technique to self-destruct, and he and Li Man died together. Chen Ronghuo opened his mouth. There were not many women among the core disciples of the Holy Tiger sect, and Li Man boldly showed his affection to him before, so he still had a lot of impressions of the woman with the hot figure. But I didn't expect that we would not see each other for 3 months. In other words, he just came back a few hours late, and Li Man died in the hands of people from the Tiangu territory, and he died with them. What hatred, what hatred? Chen Ronghuo felt puzzled. I heard that the number 1 late level 4th level disciple of Bai Lin in your 5 Fangs alliance is Chen Ronghuo from the Holy Tiger sect who possesses the Holy Tiger divine body, isn't he? Where are the people? I've killed 2 late level 4th level disciples of your 5-party alliance in a row. Aren't you coming out yet? Is it a waste of resources for a disciple who can't help but watch his compatriots die? In our Tiangu territory, there is only one end for me when I encounter such a person. Guoye smiled ferociously in the audience, and at the same time stretched out his hand and made a motion to break his own neck, which was already half broken. After hearing Guoye's words, Lu Su's face changed slightly and said, Junior brother Chen, this Guoye is a little weird. At the beginning, he fought against the people of the Shadow section although his strength was good, it was just that. But then he didn't know what secret technique he used. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, his strength increased dramatically and he killed the disciple of the Shadow sect. Another late 4th level disciple of the Shadow sect who fought against him also died due to his methods. Yes, Yang Ting also said solemnly, Junior brother Chen, you have joined the Holy Tiger sect not long ago and have never gone out to practice. You may not know the danger of disciples like us from the big sect fighting each other. Disciples of the major sects all have their own trump cards, and these trump cards will not be used during sparring. Because these trump cards are fatal and can turn the battle around. And this time, the people in the Tiangu territory seem to be crazy. In every battle, no one appears without risking his or her life. Until now, 24 people from our alliance of 5 factions have died, but 15 people from their Tiangu territory have also died. You have just come out of seclusion, so you may not be used to their fighting style yet, so why not take a look first before talking about it? Senior brother Chen, I will take over this battle for you. Suddenly, a late 4th level inner disciple not far away looked at Chen Ronghuo and said, this Guoye has been seriously injured. Even if his strength can become stronger again, I am sure to take him down. However, Tiangu territory will definitely send other people to the field later. After I win this game, Senior brother Chen, just go on the field and compete with others. After the disciple finished speaking, he immediately flew out. You are no match for him, go back. Chen Ronghuo frowned, followed his feet to the ground, and immediately caught up with the disciple at a faster speed. Then, while the disciple was in shock, he pressed his hand on his body and pushed him upside down back to the Holy Tiger Sex Station. The next moment, under the gaze of countless eyes, Chen Ronghuo appeared in front of Guo Ye, whose neck was half broken and bleeding. At the same time, without any pause, he directly extended his hand into the shape of a tiger's claw, the red light bloomed, and with endless crazy power, he grabbed Guo Ye's head. The girl who expressed her affection for him is dead, and this guy with half his head missing is still so arrogant. Maybe it's time to kill someone to pay homage. There are so many people who want to kill me, who do you think they are? The next moment, a more domineering and magnificent voice sounded than Guo Ye's. Accompanied by such a sound, Chen Ronghuo's tiger claw approached Guo Ye in the blink of an eye, as if it were an ancient winged tiger soaring in the clouds. After discovering the prey, it shot through the air with one claw, its vicious intent boundless. Thanks to for the 100 coin reward at landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chao Ji Dupang. Chapter 344. Lord. When Chen Ronghuo appeared, Xuanhuan, who was standing among the disciples of the Demon Shadow sect, and Zhu Deipen and Li Haishui, who were standing in the Golden Body sect, all had a gleam in their eyes. They had been in Wuifangbelan for 3 months. During this period, the 3 of them had looked for Chen Ronghuo. But of course, they all got the news that Chen Ronghuo was in seclusion. The Lord finally appeared. Zhu Deipen looked at Chen Ronghuo's figure, stretched out his big hand, used the kung fu of the Vajra finger, and excitedly pinched Li Haishui's thigh beside him. What are you doing? Li Haishui turned his head with anger. Sorry. Zhu Deipen rubbed his hands, I'm a little too happy. Li Haishui's face twitched, ignoring Zhu Deipen, a guy with a cramp in his head. So fast. At this time, above Wuifangbelan, Guo Ye saw Chen Ronghuo running to him in the blink of an eye, and his expression suddenly became solemn. Chen Ronghuo's speed exceeded his expectations. He knew Chen Ronghuo's information and knew that Chen Ronghuo was the first person in the middle stage of the 4th stage in Wuifangbelan. He also knew that Chen Ronghuo had broken through to the late stage of the 4th stage not long ago. So when he just called Chen Ronghuo the first person in the late stage of the 4th stage in Wuifangbelan, he was actually just flattering Chen Ronghuo and provoking Chen Ronghuo to fight with him. But he didn't expect that Chen Ronghuo would be so strong after just breaking through. Brutal blood burst. Guo Ye shouted angrily, and blood spurted out from the opening of his neck in an instant, flying all over the sky. His face was ferocious, bloody, and with the shouting in his mouth, a feeling of incomparable brutality suddenly came over him. When the blood spurted, Guo Ye's strength instantly rose a lot. Brutal blood burst is his innate ability. For him, the more he bleeds, the stronger he is. Of course, once he bleeds to a certain extent and is too seriously injured, he will fall into a weak state like others. But Chen Ronghuo is the peerless genius of the Holy Tiger section in this battle. He only needs to kill Chen Ronghuo. After killing Chen Ronghuo, his mission will be completed and he will not have to continue fighting. This is my last battle. The fierce light in Guo Ye's eyes reached its limit. He punched hard. A layer of blood-red barbaric light covered his fist. When his fist was thrown, the bright red barbaric light eroded forward layer by layer, bringing up a surging wave of blood, which caught the eyes of countless people. When he punched, Guo Ye's mind suddenly relaxed slightly. This punch of his was definitely his strongest punch ever. At this time, Chen Ronghuo was right in front of him, and there was no chance for him to dodge. He believed that Chen Ronghuo would definitely be unable to resist his punch. Boom! Before Chen Ronghuo's fierce tiger claws and Guo Ye's fists touched each other, the monstrous momentum between the two had already made a rumbling sound in the collision. Guo Ye, you've become stronger again. Seeing this scene, the practitioners of Wuifang Bilan, especially the practitioners of the Holy Tiger sect, all showed worry on their faces. When Chen Ronghuo made his move, they all had to admit that Chen Ronghuo's strength had reached the top level among the late 4th stage practitioners. But the strength that Guo Ye showed at this time was also not weak. Especially Guo Ye's outburst this time, I don't know how much more than when he fought against the other 2 late 4th stage practitioners of the Demon Shadow sect before. The Holy Tiger sect practitioner who wanted to replace Chen Ronghuo and fight Guo Ye before turned pale. If he had played in this battle, I'm afraid he would have been beaten to death by Guo Ye in an instant. Die. An astonishing momentum burst out from Guo Ye's fierce eyes. He looked directly at Chen Ronghuo, who was close at hand, and felt his fist getting closer and closer to Chen Ronghuo's fierce tiger claws, and getting closer and closer. Crack! Suddenly, an astonishing crisp sound exploded in the void. When the crisp sound exploded, Guo Ye's originally extremely confident expression suddenly froze. He turned his eyes and fell on his bloody fist, and immediately found that after Chen Ronghuo's tiger claw landed on his fist, it was like a big iron clamp, grabbing his fist and twisting it fiercely. And his fist that could break even a mountain was twisted apart in just an instant after being twisted by Chen Ronghuo. How is this possible? Guo Ye's eyes were filled with deep shock and fear. Chen Ronghuo, like him, was only in the late 4th stage. Moreover, the Holy Tiger crazy demonic skill that Chen Ronghuo practiced, and another martial arts technique based on the lower Danshan, clearly had not reached the late 4th stage. In this case, how could he not be Chen Ronghuo's opponent when he burst out with all his strength? Even if he was not Chen Ronghuo's opponent, how could he be defeated by Chen Ronghuo in an instant? Crack, crack, crack. Just when Guo Ye was startled, the tremendous power that surged out of Chen Ronghuo's body had already broken his entire arm into pieces through the tiger claws formed by Chen Ronghuo's right hand. Snap! The next moment, Chen Ronghuo's right hand broke Guo Ye's arm, and then swung Guo Ye's arm away, and immediately fell on Guo Ye's head like lightning. Half of his head was about to fall off. Not good. Guo Ye was shocked and immediately began to retreat. And while retreating, he raised one foot and kicked Chen Ronghuo's crotch fiercely. Bang! But before Guo Ye's foot could kick Chen Ronghuo, a rotating force had already burst out from Chen Ronghuo's big hand. With a bang, this rotating force directly took Guo Ye's head, which had already fallen half off his head. One blow. Guo Ye. Die. Chen Ronghuo grabbed Guo Ye's head, raised his hand, and gestured in the direction of the Tiangu battleship. Chen Ronghuo of the Holy Tiger sect is here. Which late-stage 4th order cultivator in the Tiangu territory is willing to ask for advice? He is a disciple of the Holy Tiger section. This time the Tiangu territory came to Wuifang Bilan. As long as he doesn't want to be despised in the Holy Tiger sect in the future, he has to take action this time. He has already taken action once, so what's the harm in taking action again? As for offending the Tiangu territory, if the sky falls, there is a tall person to support it. What is he afraid of? If the Holy Tiger sect can't hold it, he really can't do it, just return to the continent of gods. Moreover, no matter what the purpose of Tiangu territory is this time, he can get a certain amount of feedback from the breath of the law of calamity by killing the disciples of Tiangu territory here. Although before the 5th level, he can't use the breath of the law of calamity even if he gets it. But there is absolutely no reason to disdain this thing too much. From Chen Ronghuo's attack to Chen Ronghuo killing Guo Ye and holding Guo Ye's head high in his hand, it was just a matter of a moment. This moment ended, and all those who were nervous about this battle and all those who were worried about Chen Ronghuo breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, at this moment, the eyes of everyone around him fell on Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo stood in the field, raised his head neither servilely nor arrogantly, and looked in the direction of Tiangu territory. How could it be? Guoye's savage blood burst. The more blood he loses, the stronger he becomes. His punch just now has surpassed most of the 4th level peak practitioners, but he is still not Chen Ronghuo's opponent. In the Tiangu battleship, an old man looked at Chen Ronghuo from a distance, with a trace of doubt on his face. It is well deserved. Suddenly, a young man wearing a blood-colored robe beside the old man chuckled. If I am not mistaken, this Chen Ronghuo has not only practiced 2 martial arts techniques, and a secret technique that can be used in an instant to exert extremely strong explosive power, but also a secret technique that can enhance his own strength. With his strength, let alone others, even I would not be his opponent when I was in the late 4th level. The old man was shocked when he heard this. Your Highness, then we. Next, it's my turn to take action. The blood-stained young man exhaled lightly, with a strange look of expectation on his face. It's like an old naughty boy who has been locked up for countless years, just released and encountered a toy that he is interested in. Wow! At this moment, Chen Ronghuo, who was standing above the 5 directions white forest, suddenly burst out a force in his hand and acted on Guoye's head, instantly turning Guoye's head into layers of powder and falling from the air. Huh! Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo looked at the powder that Guoye's head had turned into, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. When he smashed Guoye's head into pieces, he suddenly felt something was wrong. Guoye was a late-stage 4th level cultivator, but the bones of a late-stage 4th level cultivator should not be too fragile. But he had just smashed Guoye's head, but felt that his bones were only a little stronger than the bones of an ordinary 3rd level peak cultivator. The ashes whose essence of white bones was absorbed by the 5 directions white forest. The white bark tree in the 5 directions white forest is one of the 7 deputy generals of the heavenly bone god general under the lord of the black demon, and the high-level god white bone general fell. Most of the gods under the lord of the black demon died when invading the world of gods. However, most of the dead gods had signed a life and death contract with the lord of black demon. With the revival of the lord of black demon, all the dead gods have a chance to come back to life. Note 1, absorbing a large amount of bone essence will help the bone general to revive. After the bone general revives, the initial cultivation can reach the 8th level. Note 2, it will take another 30 years for the bone general to revive. Chen Ronghuo looked at the powder of Guoye's head and identified its properties. But after identifying its properties, his pupils suddenly shrank. His identification technique is related to subjective consciousness. The last time he identified the 5 directions white forest, because he didn't think about it, he only identified the white bark trees in the 5 directions white forest, which were unusually hard. He never thought that these white bark trees were actually related to the high-level god, the bone general. And it was a high-level god, transformed from the corpse after the fall. Chen Ronghuo took a deep breath. Then he raised his head and looked at the peaceful Tiangu warship in the distance. Thinking of the word Tiangu in Tiangu territory, he guessed something. It is rumored that Tiangu territory changed an extremely powerful lord 20 years ago. I wonder if this new Tiangu lord is the resurrected Tiangu god general. Chen Ronghuo's eyes were deep and he thought of the Jiatuo snake mother who was also a god general under the lord of the black demon in the continent of gods and was about to be resurrected. He rubbed his fingers. Knowing that this world will change drastically before it is too late. I am too weak. I really need to become stronger as soon as possible. Faced with a powerful existence that could once fight against the gods of the entire gods continent, and at the same time a great demon who wanted to destroy the entire gods world, Chen Ronghuo knew that he had no choice but to become stronger. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure suddenly shot out from the Tiangu warship and came to Chen Ronghuo. This figure had straight eyebrows and eyes, and was wearing a blood-red robe. He exuded an extremely strange aura from head to toe. If you want to fight, then I will meet you. As the light words sounded, the blood-red figure had already arrived in front of Chen Ronghuo. Punched out. Bloodbone General of the 7 Deputy Generals of Tiangu War Generals. Cultivation, middle stage of 5th stage. State 1, high-level god who has just been resurrected. State 2, cultivation is covered to the late stage of 4th stage. Talent, blood and bone control. Thanks to May the World treat you gently Pi for the 100 coin reward, and Kun Ge Chao Kitty and X for the 100 coin reward.